Chapter 5765. This is what you get for provoking me. Lin Xian's cold voice spread all around. Those who were still alive felt their scalps go numb. The people of the Bone Cave felt that this kid was crazy. Even the people from the underworld God Hall sucked in a breath of cold air. Is this guy challenging a great emperor? How dare you challenge me, an ant? In the sky, the Yellow Spring Great Emperor was completely furious. No one had ever dared to challenge him. Lin Xian laughed. So what if I challenge you? Lin Xian took out the sky-swallowing jar, which floated around him and surrounded his body. It was to prevent him from being attacked by the other party. The Yellow Spring Great Emperor looked down and pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. He said coldly, "Young man, do you think you can compete with me with half an extreme weapon in your hand? You're too naive." A terrifying vortex appeared in his hand. From inside, a gate of the Yellow Spring appeared. The aura of extreme Tao spread out. The Yellow Spring Great Emperor's extreme weapon was a gate of the Yellow Spring. As soon as it appeared, it swept across all directions. Everyone was terrified. The Great Emperor with a real Emperor weapon was absolutely terrifying. Emperor Ming roared. Under the ground of the Underworld God Hall, a huge black seal rushed out. The Underworld God Seal. This was his extreme weapon. The two confronted each other. Do you see it, Ant? This is a real extreme weapon. And with me, its power is 10,000 times stronger than yours. How can you stop me? You dare to kill the people of the Yellow Spring sect. I will make you suffer. I will torture you to death, break your bones, pull out your tendons, and skin you alive. I will let you live in despair forever until the world is destroyed. This was a real life worse than death. Hearing this, the other people's scalps went numb. Who could resist the great emperor's anger? It could only be said that this young man was too reckless. Lin Xian clenched his fists. The great emperor's anger? So what? He said in a low voice, Emperor Ming, can you help me restrain him? In the sky, Emperor Ming also frowned. What do you want? To be honest, he also felt that Lin Xian was too arrogant. After all, he was also a great emperor. He knew the consequences of challenging a great emperor without any limits. Lin Xian raised his head and smiled. Were great emperors high and mighty? Do you think you can kill me as you wish just because you're a great emperor? I want them to know the consequences of offending me. You're asking me what I want to do? Let me answer you. First, Yellow Spring Sect, then White Bone Cave. This voice was filled with boundless killing intent. The moment it appeared, thunder began to descend from the 9 heavens. The underworld child and the others all sucked in a breath of cold air. Even Emperor Hades raised an eyebrow. Audacious? That wasn't even enough to describe him. The other party was simply too arrogant. Those were 2 big sects, and the other party actually dared to threaten to destroy them. Moreover, it wasn't just against the Yellow Spring sect, but also against White Bone Cave. Did this guy really not know what fear was? Interesting, haha, very interesting. Emperor Hades roared with laughter. I can stop him, but as for you, I don't care if I can kill you. The Underworld Temple won't send anyone to help you. I don't need your help. I just need the Yellow Spring's Great Emperor to not appear. After Lin Xian finished speaking, he waved the sky-devouring jar and collected the surrounding sea of blood. The others were shocked. Why did this guy have so much blood and corpses? They didn't know. But Lin Xian had his own plans. He had offended a great emperor. He had to think of a way to save his own life. Was Emperor Hades reliable? He wasn't completely sure. He wouldn't put his life in the hands of others. Besides the Yellow Spring's Great Emperor, there was also the Bone Emperor. Therefore, Lin Xian collected the energy for the demonic shadow behind him. This demonic shadow was definitely related to the Demon Emperor. It might even be an extension of the Demon Emperor's life. Lin Xian had already understood. Moreover, Lin Xian had already decided to completely separate from the demonic shadow in hell. Lin Xian didn't even use the phantasmal demon crystal now. However, this demonic shadow was indeed terrifying. Previously, it took the initiative to attack and absorb the energy of a large number of experts' corpses. Lin Xian took the initiative to absorb the energy and prepared to give it to the demonic shadow. He wanted to make the demonic shadow stronger again. Perhaps he would be able to fend off the martial monarchs for him. After collecting the mountain of corpses and the sea of blood, Lin Xian rose into the air. He said, "Yellow Spring's great emperor, I want you to see your sect destroyed with your own eyes." After that, a pair of sword energy wings appeared behind him. They fluttered gently and cut through the void. They disappeared. "Damn it! How dare you!" The Yellow Spring's great emperor roared angrily. He also rose into the air, but was stopped by a big dark hand. Emperor Hades said, "I won't let you leave. Get lost. Do you want to be my enemy?" Emperor Hades' face also darkened. "So what if I'm your enemy? We've snatched many treasures before, including the wordless steel and the death god lamp. Have you ever let me do anything? Have you ever cooperated with me? We're enemies. How difficult is it for me to stop you?" Emperor Hades, "I didn't fight you before because I didn't want to kill you. But since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being merciless." The Yellow Spring's great emperor rushed up crazily. Emperor Hades snorted coldly. "You want to kill me? Let's see what you're capable of." The two great emperors were furious, fighting with real fire. They clashed again. Divine flames collided, and the aura of extreme Tao clashed. It was a terrifying battle. The Yellow Spring's great emperor roared and attacked with all his strength, but he found that the two sides were evenly matched. If this continued, the Yellow Spring sect would be in danger. That kid was too strange, and he wasn't here. He even brought the extreme Tao weapon with him. No, even if he couldn't leave, he had to send the extreme Tao weapon back. With a wave of his hand, the Yellow Spring's gate broke through the void and tried to leave. But it was beaten back by a big seal. The Nether God Seal resisted the Yellow Spring sect. Emperor Hades laughed. "I said I won't let you go back, including your weapon. You're courting death." This time, the Yellow Spring Emperor had gone completely mad. He unleashed all kinds of mystiques. Emperor Hades was not afraid at all. The battle between the two shook heaven and earth. At this moment, the entire hell and the endless forest were spread out on the ground. They kept kowtowing. To them, this was the end of the world. There were still some people from the Yellow Springs sect guarding the place. The disciples of the Yellow Springs sect looked up at the sky. The young geniuses exclaimed, "This is the aura of our great emperor, right? The great emperor is fighting with someone." An elder walked over and said in a low voice, "The other one is the aura of Emperor Hades." The two great emperors were fighting. They wondered how the battle was going. The Yellow Springs sect was very confident in the Yellow Springs great emperor, but Emperor Hades was not to be trifled with. The young disciples said, "Don't worry, we'll be fine. This time, we've joined forces with the White Bone Cave." Of course, the elders nodded in agreement. But at this moment, the entire Yellow Springs sect shook violently. Endless cracks appeared in the void. Many of the young disciples were instantly sent flying. The elders' eyes widened. What's going on? Someone was attacking them. Was it the Yellow Springs sect? Who was it? Did they have a death wish? These people were instantly enraged. Chapter 5766. Who dared to challenge the great emperor's sect? Could it be the Nether God Palace? But it shouldn't be. The Nether God Palace didn't have any extra power now. Or was there some reckless family that dared to challenge them at this time? No matter who it was, they must make the other party suffer a fate worse than death. These elders were murderous. They gathered a group of people and rushed outside. Who dares to behave atrociously here? Do you want to die? Kneel down, kowtow, and accept your death. I'll send you to the 18th level of hell. Countless crazy roars came, shaking the 9 heavens and shattering the whole world. At this moment, a figure walked out of the void in front of them. A young figure. He strolled in the crack. The surrounding energy couldn't get close at all. Who are you? Are you the one who attacked our array formation just now? The people of the Yellow Spring sect stared at Lin Xian, their eyes shining with cold light. Which family are you from? Ask your family leader to get over here. These people were still high and mighty. After Lin Xian walked over, he looked at these people and smiled. Do you know Lin Wudi? Lin Wudi? The people in front of him were stunned. Then, a young genius said, "Of course, I heard that the kid is very arrogant. He dared to kill people of the Yellow Spring sect and steal the wordless sky steel. If he dares to come, I'll slap him to death. I'll make him suffer a fate worse than death. Ha ha ha. Lin Xian laughed. You. There was disdain in his eyes. The young disciple's face was red. Damn it. How dare you look down on me? I want a duel with you. A duel of life and death. As a genius, he couldn't stand being looked down upon. Lin Xian didn't pay any heed to Zhang Xian's words. Not long ago, the Yellow Spring Emperor led a group of masters of the Yellow Spring sect and the powerhouses of the White Bone Palace. They attacked the Nether God Palace. They wanted to seize the wordless sky steel and kill Lin Wudi. Unfortunately, except for the Yellow Spring Emperor, all the people of the Yellow Spring sect had died. They were all killed by Lin Wudi. Are you able to contend against such a person? What? They were all dead. Those from the Yellow Springs sect narrowed their eyes. An elder walked out and said with a cold laugh, "A bunch of nonsense. We have so many experts, and we even have a great emperor protecting us. How could we possibly die? Brat, are you here to die? Tell me, who are you? What was his goal? You don't believe me? I saw it with my own eyes. How could I lie to you? Because I am Lin Wudi. I'm not just going to kill those who attacked me. I'm going to destroy the entire Yellow Spring sect." A terrifying sword chi emerged from Lin Xian's body and covered the sky. What? You are Lin Wudi. Damn brat. You still dare to come and kill him? Avenge our men. Countless frenzied roars could be heard. They were really angry. Not only did this brat kill their people, he even dared to come to their sect and slap their faces. He was too arrogant. Kill the three young geniuses charged forward, led by the red-faced man from before. He unleashed the Yellow Spring lightning, which carried a destructive aura. These three geniuses were all very strong. However, Lin Xian's slap turned the three of them into a bloody mist. Then, he flicked his sleeves and said, "Too weak. Kneel down and wait for death. Don't waste my time. I'll give you a quick death." What a powerful technique. He killed 3 platforms with a raise of his hand, which shocked the people of the Yellow Springs sect. However, they were completely furious. Kneel down and wait for death? You think you can do that? Arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant in front of me just because you're strong. The foundation of the great emperor's sect is not something you can imagine. Let's kill him together. This time, more than a dozen experts rushed over. The laws on it could crush heaven and earth and sweep across the 8 barren lands. However, Lin Xian sneered. He waved the immortal killing sword, and a terrifying power was released. The whole world was split open. Not good. What kind of sword was this? The pupils of the Yellow Springs sect's elders constricted. They wanted to call for powerhouses, but it was too late. Under this sword, more than a dozen powerhouses' bodies were split open. Those people died in despair. I've said it before. If you kneel down, you'll have a quick death. Otherwise, I'll destroy your hearts and souls. With a sword in hand, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. As he spoke, he walked forward. Quickly retreat. This kid is very strange. Use our array formation to attack him. The leading black-robed elder waved his hand, and everyone retreated into the Yellow Springs sect. Then, they revealed sinister smiles. Arrogant. This is the great emperor's array formation. Let's see how you'll die. They all injected energy. The Yellow Springs array formation erupted with power, turning into a Yellow Springs spear that flew forward, piercing through heaven and earth. Even gods and demons had to retreat. Go to hell. The person on the other side sneered. Lin Xian was very fast. Shadowless Heaven's net instantly disappeared. After dodging this attack, he walked forward again. So fast, the young disciple exclaimed. The elders snorted. So what? Let him know the power of the great emperor's array formation. They completely activated the emperor-level array formation. They poured in even more energy, and a lot of spirit veins were put in. The array formation erupted with power again. This time, tens of millions of Yellow Springs spears appeared, covering the entire void. Let's see how you can dodge. They all laughed sinisterly. This time, there was nowhere to dodge. Dodge? I don't need to dodge. Lin Xian took out the heaven-swallowing jar and put himself in. Boom. Boom. In the next moment, the place where he was completely pierced by the Yellow Springs spears. Endless Yellow Springs laws filled the air and tore apart the 9 heavens. The front turned into nothingness. Is that kid dead? The young disciple asked. The elders said, of course. Let's go and admire his death. These people walked out of the array formation. Their faces were filled with schadenfreude. Buzz. In the void in front of them, a black jar flew out. There was a black light and mysterious patterns on it. Then, a hand reached out from the jar. It was like the sun, and the big hand swept across the sky. It directly smashed the dozen or so powerhouses nearby into pieces. Then, another hand rushed out. It was a sword with a little bit of rust on it. However, more than that, it bloomed with sparkling light. This sword was murderous. It had killed countless powerhouses. With a wave of the hand, dozens of powerhouses were split apart. Oh no, he's not dead yet. Retreat quickly. The elders of the Yellow Springs sect exclaimed. The young disciple was so scared that his face turned pale. He turned around and ran. Lin Xian drove the heaven-swallowing jar and rushed in. Hurry up and come in. Activate the Yellow Springs Grand Array. Those people returned. In the blink of an eye, nearly 100 powerhouses died outside. The people of the Yellow Springs sect went crazy. Fortunately, at the last moment, they activated the Yellow Springs Grand Array. With a boom, the Yellow Springs Grand Array shook. The heaven-swallowing jar hit it and bounced back. Even the space around the Yellow Springs Grand Formation became dark and lifeless. What a terrifying jar. However, it still couldn't enter. Kid, so what if you're strong? Compared to the great emperor's methods, you're too weak. After entering the array formation, the people of the Yellow Springs sect roared ferociously again. Chapter 57-67. It's just a great emperor's formation. If it's blocking my way, I'll just break it. Lin Xian walked forward. Inside the formation, the people of the Yellow Springs sect had all gone crazy. What kind of joke is this? This kid must be talking in his sleep. Who do you think you are? Can you break it? Lin Xian took a deep breath. He held the immortal slaying sword with both hands. The power of the great dragon sword soul surged out. The dragon soul entered the immortal slaying sword. This was a divine sword, coupled with the power of the great dragon sword soul. At this moment, it was not weaker than an extreme weapon. Lin Xian opened the sword world, and power surged out. He swung his sword, turning it into an eternal sword light. The great emperor's formation was violently impacted and shook rapidly. Then, cracks appeared on it, and it was split open by the sword. Inside the formation, the smiles on the faces of the powerhouses of the Yellow Springs sect disappeared. They knelt on the ground in fear, their bodies trembling. How is this possible? Some of them were already on the verge of tears. The Great Emperor's formation was personally set up by the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. Other than the Great Emperor, who could open it? But now, the other party had split it open with a sword. Retreat! Retreat quickly! The people inside the formation retreated frantically. Lin Xian's face was a little pale. He retracted the great dragon sword soul into his body again. In the next moment, he raised his head, and the corners of his mouth curled up into a sneer. The harvest of doomsday is coming, he said coldly. Then, his figure flashed, and he instantly charged in. After Lin Xian entered, he released a terrifying dragon-shaped sword chi that swept in all directions. The entire Yellow Spring sect shook violently. No, quickly activate the formation and mobilize the power. The powerhouses inside roared crazily. At this moment, another powerhouse walked out. It was a middle-aged man. He was incomparably majestic, and the aura on his body was also extremely terrifying. Great, Mr. Li, you're awake. The people of the Yellow Spring sect seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw. They all gathered towards the middle-aged man. Mr. Li, please kill this person. Mr. Li, be careful. The sword in his hand is very terrifying. He has split open the great emperor's formation. One voice after another sounded. The middle-aged man frowned and stared ahead. Who are you? How dare you come here and behave atrociously? Do you know where this is? The middle-aged man walked over and shouted coldly. Lin Xian didn't say anything. Instead, he waved his sleeve and the universe ring flew out. You're courting death. Mr. Li was furious. He was the Nine-Crown King. Even though he had only become the Nine-Crown King not too long ago, his strength was not something that the Eight-Crown King could compare to. Not to mention, the aura of the person before him was only that of a Six-Crown King. The ghost claw reached out and attacked the universe ring. In his opinion, he could shatter this weapon in an instant. With a boom, he let out a miserable cry. His ghost claw was shattered, and blood flowed out. His entire body was also sent flying. What was that? The heaven and earth ring drew an arc in the air and hit him in the back. Instantly, his back split open, and he flew out like a kite with a broken string. How could it be like this? The expressions of the surrounding elders changed drastically when they saw that. They became extremely frightened. Mr. Li was the Nine-Crown King, but he was seriously injured by a single attack. What was a bracelet? After that attack, the universe ring dimmed and returned to Lin Xian's hand. Lin Xian soared into the air. His eyes were filled with extremely cold killing intent. Yellow Springs sect, suffer my wrath. He stood above the 9 heavens and summoned the great dragon Sword Soul once again. It transformed into 10,000 huge dragons and descended. At the same time, he activated the illusion demon scripture. The demonic shadow behind him also appeared and attacked. This time, Lin Xian didn't stop it. The demonic shadow seemed to be very excited and attacked ruthlessly. In an instant, it charged at the Nine-Crown King. The Nine-Crown King, Mr. Li, was originally seriously injured. When he saw the demonic shadow coming, he turned around and fled. However, the demonic shadow instantly enveloped him. He roared ferociously, "Get lost!" However, the demonic shadow was too terrifying. Before long, Mr. Li began to beg for mercy and fear. "No, please, let me go." After that, he went silent. "Run. Go and get our great emperor." The people of the Yellow Springs sect had all gone crazy. They couldn't stop it at all. This demonic shadow was summoned by the demon scripture. It was extremely strange. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was determined to use the great dragon sword spirit. Although it consumed a lot of energy, it was worth it to destroy the Yellow Springs sect. What was this aura? Was it the power of the extreme path? He actually had an extreme path weapon, but why was he able to use it? How much energy did he have to use? The young disciples went crazy. The older generation experts also shouted angrily, "Do you know what you're doing? The Yellow Springs Great Emperor won't let you go." Lin Xian's face was pale, but his eyes were resolute. He snorted coldly. "It's because he won't let me go that I'm going to destroy the Yellow Springs sect. If you dare to threaten me again, I'll even kill the Emperor." A merciless voice rang out, spreading in all directions. The dragon-shaped sword chi had obtained enough power and roared crazily. After rushing down, dozens of elders were turned into ashes. Another dragon-shaped sword chi rushed out, and those young geniuses also turned into blood mist. Next, 10,000 swords descended, and the Yellow Springs sect was completely pierced through. Those formations couldn't protect them at all. Even the Emperor's formations were also pierced through. Lin Xian's body trembled. He calculated the time. In 5 seconds, he would close the sword world. The reason for that was because he was also unable to withstand the crazy power. If he wanted to fully activate the Great Dragon Sword Soul, he would probably have to become an emperor. 5 seconds later, Lin Xian closed the sword world. He breathed a sigh of relief, feeling that all the bones in his body were about to break. This power also put a lot of pressure on him. However, when he looked down, he started laughing. At this moment, the Yellow Springs sect had already been pierced through. Below, there was a sea of blood. Those terrifying experts and quasi-emperors were all nailed to the ground. The young geniuses turned into blood mist, and there were still a few people alive. However, at this moment, they held their heads with both hands and screamed crazily, "Demon, you're a demon." Although they were from hell, and some of them had even entered the 18 levels of hell. However, they had never seen such a scene. This was the Yellow Springs sect, the Emperor's sect. It was actually destroyed by someone. This terrifying scene was their nightmare. Lin Xian landed. His body was a little shaky. He quickly took out a pill and swallowed it. At this moment, some of the people who were still alive stood up and said, "Kill him." He was already an arrow at the end of its flight. He had no power left. Yes, that's right. That kind of power was not something he could use. Kill him and avenge our elders. Take him down and let the emperor torture him. These people rushed over crazily. They struck out terrifying laws, all of which blasted onto Lin Xian's body. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he took a few steps back. He even spat out a mouthful of blood. However, in the next moment, he punched out. Get lost. This punch was pure physical strength. It directly sent more than a dozen experts flying and pierced through them. Those people died again. The others still wanted to go forward. But at this moment, they stopped, and their bodies trembled. The other party was already so weak that they couldn't kill him. Was the other party immortal? Chapter 5768. Lin Xian's face was pale. However, he formed a seal with his palms and frantically absorbed the power around him. The heaven-defying art, the 9 turns of the true dragon, appeared on his body. It was a giant dragon, baring its fangs and brandishing its claws as its body rotated in the sky. Every time it rotated, it absorbed the power of heaven and earth and poured it into Lin Xian's body. It healed his injuries. At first, it was very slow, but in the end, it became faster and faster. Lin Xian was creating his own supernatural power. He looked at the last person. There were less than 100 of them left. At this moment, being shrouded by Lin Xian's gaze, they all fell to their knees one by one. "Spare my life. Please, spare me. I'm willing to submit. They're too spineless." Lin Xian shook his head. "Besides, you don't have a chance. Because I promised the Netherworld Emperor that I would let him see his sect destroyed with his own eyes. So, go to hell." Lin Xian slapped out with his palm, and those few figures were instantly killed. Next, Lin Xian used his Rinnegan and looked around. He found that most of the people were pierced by the dragon-shaped sword energy, and some were killed by the demonic shadow. At this moment, the demonic shadow was more solid than before. Lin Xian gritted his teeth, ignoring the pressure on his body, and activated the sky-swallowing jar again. He swallowed the surrounding mountains of corpses, the sea of blood, the storage rings, and the broken pieces of the weapons. The demonic figure roared angrily and abruptly turned his head around. There was a cold light in its eyes and a low roar. Obviously, it was warning Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian sped up the devouring speed. He said, "Don't worry, these things are yours, but you can only take them if I give them to you." Buzz. The demonic shadow rushed over in an instant and was less than a meter in front of Lin Xian. The powerful demonic energy hit Lin Xian, making Lin Xian keep retreating. He even spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared out and formed a backbone. Let him be indomitable. Lin Xian also took a step forward. "Are you not convinced? Then let's fight in advance. Don't even think about getting a single bit of power." Emoing looked at the heaven-swallowing jar and sensed the great dragon sword soul. He also saw the immortal execution sword in Lin Xian's hand. He fell silent. Then, his figure gradually disappeared. Lin Xian felt an additional pressure on his body. He quickly took out the jade pendant that Shen Jingqiu had given him and put it on. It seemed that the demonic shadow had returned to his body and continued to hibernate. Lin Xian harumphed coldly and collected the remaining corpses into the heaven-devouring jar. He wouldn't be able to stay with the demonic shadow for much longer. He had to use this energy to strengthen the demonic shadow. After dealing with the great Emperor of Hell, he and Emoing had completely parted ways. After all, those who walked different paths could not work together. Next, Lin Xian did not leave. Instead, he formed a formation near the Yellow Springs Gate. This formation was like a mirror, directly printing the scene of the Yellow Springs Gate in the sky. Countless families and sects in hell looked up at the sky. "Look, what is that? Is it a mirage? How could someone create such a scene? No, why do I feel that this place is terrifying? This is the Yellow Springs Gate. What kind of joke is this? The Yellow Springs Gate is a great emperor's sect. How could it be the Yellow Springs Gate? Everyone was discussing animatedly. At this moment, another line of words appeared on the mirror in the sky. Does the Yellow Springs Great Emperor feel the pain? This formation was condensed by Lin Xian. He transmitted the scene of the Yellow Springs Gate to the sky for everyone to see. The Yellow Springs Great Emperor would definitely see it. So what if he provoked the Great Emperor? He would make the other party feel the pain. After doing this, Lin Xian turned around and continued to move forward. He said that he would first destroy the Yellow Springs Gate, then destroy the White Bone Cave. Now that the Yellow Springs Gate had been destroyed, the White Bone Cave was next. On the Underworld Temple side, everyone was still waiting worriedly, because the battle between the two great emperors was not over yet. Fortunately, they were not fighting in the Underworld Temple, but in the endless ninth heaven. Otherwise, the Underworld Temple would have been reduced to ashes long ago. At this moment, Underworld Child exclaimed, "Look, what is that?" There was a reflection in the sky, and they looked carefully. When they saw the line of words left by Lin Xian, they gasped. They sucked in a breath of cold air. Could this be the Yellow Spring Sect? Has it really been destroyed? That's impossible. Above the ninth heaven, the Yellow Springs Great Emperor naturally saw it too. In the next moment, he let out a crazy roar. His soul suddenly covered the sky and the earth, enveloping the entire world. The boundless territory was all within the scope of his investigation. When he saw that his sect had been reduced to ruins, he went crazy. He had gone crazy. The other party had really destroyed his Yellow Springs Gate, and no one had escaped. His efforts were gone. Although in his opinion, those below the Great Emperor were all ants. After all, he had spent a long time cultivating them. Now that they had been destroyed, this was a slap in the face. This was unbearable humiliation. He roared at the sky, "Lin Wuti, even if you escape to the ends of the earth, the universe, I will catch you. I will catch you and make you suffer a fate worse than death." His voice was heard by everyone in the Earth domain. Everyone trembled in fear. Could it be Lin Wuti? No way. He is too bold. He dares to make an enemy of the Great Emperor. He destroyed the Great Emperor's sect. This guy is crazy. The Yellow Springs Great Emperor wanted to leave, but he was firmly stopped by Emperor Ming. Emperor Ming was also surprised. He originally thought that Lin Xian was just joking. He didn't expect him to really do it. Where is he now? Will he attack the White Bone Cave? Thinking of this, he was filled with anticipation. Hell has been peaceful for too long. Let this kid stir up a storm, and let the storm come even more fiercely. He roared angrily, and the underworld god seal swept across the world. He would not let the Yellow Springs Great Emperor leave. On the other side of the underworld, here, the bones were reborn, turning into an endless mountain range of bones. And in this mountain range, there was a White Bone Cave. It was the Bone Emperor's sect, which was at the level of a great emperor. This place was a forbidden land for life, and no one could easily come here. However, at this moment, Lin Xian arrived. Looking at the White Bone Mountain, Lin Xian's eyes shone with a biting cold light. In the previous battle, he had used a lot of the power of the Sword World. Otherwise, for a large sect to be completely destroyed, it would take a large sect. The amount of time consumed was simply too much. He didn't have so much time to waste. Now that he was dealing with the White Bone Cave, he probably had to end the battle quickly. The Bone Emperor had not appeared, which made Lin Xian extremely worried, because he guessed that the Bone Emperor had joined forces with the people of the Nirvana realm. If there were great emperors from the Nirvana realm, then there would be two great emperors. Even if they left, he didn't know if the Bone Emperor had left his extreme weapon here. Therefore, Lin Xian had to be extremely careful. Suddenly, he thought of a way, and the corner of his mouth raised into a smile. In the next moment, he released his aura and hit the 9 heavens. At the same time, he said, "Yellow Springs Great Emperor, how does it feel to have your sect destroyed? Not satisfied? If not, come and bite me." He took the initiative to show his position, which made the Yellow Springs Great Emperor angry. He was prepared to use the Yellow Springs Great Emperor's hand to test the White Bone Cave. Chapter 5769. Was that Lin Wudi's voice? Oh my god. Is that sword chi where Lin Wudi is? Was this guy crazy? This guy was really challenging the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. The people of the Underworld Temple also saw the sword chi that pierced through hell. Their expressions changed drastically. What was this guy doing? Could it be that he really couldn't wait to die? Damn it, he had gone too far. The Emperor of Yellow Spring was really mad. A little ant had made him lose face in front of the whole world. He couldn't stand it. The divine fire between his brows kept spreading and covering his whole body. In the next moment, he launched a shocking attack. Divine ability, 10,000 miles pursuit. No matter where you run to, you won't be able to dodge this attack. What's more, Lin Xian took the initiative to show his position. That meant he would die without a doubt. The Underworld Emperor also frowned. He wanted to stop him. However, when he saw Lin Xian's position, he was stunned. In the next moment, he had a strange expression and didn't make a move. Wasn't that the direction of the White Bone Cave? The Yellow Spring Great Emperor was so angry that he couldn't sense it. However, he was very calm. It seemed that Lin Xian wanted to kill with a borrowed knife. This little guy's heart was really black. The divine ability, 10,000 miles pursuit, crossed millions of miles of starry sky. It even pierced through the stars of hell and landed in the place where Lin Xian was. In an instant, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Endless mountains cracked, and countless black holes appeared in the sky. It was coming. Lin Xian took a deep breath and hurriedly entered the sky-devouring jar. Then, he rushed in the direction of the White Bone Cave. He chased for thousands of miles and chased fiercely. In the next moment, it enveloped the sky-devouring jar. At the same time, this energy was stored in the White Bone Cave. The people in the White Bone Cave raised their heads in horror. They had been chased for tens of thousands of miles, and now they were all dead. They realized that this was the attack of the Great Emperor, and it was actually aimed at their White Bone Cave. Not good. Defense. Activate the mountain guarding array. The entire White Bone Mountain near the White Bone Cave shook violently. The endless bones formed a giant. This giant, holding a shield with both hands, surrounded the entire White Bone Cave. This was the protective array set up by the Bone Sovereign. His defense was absolutely terrifying to the extreme. No one could compare to him. In the next moment, a violent roar sounded. Lin Xian, who was hiding inside the heaven-devouring jar, also felt an invisible pressure. His 9 young divine body cracked and many of his bones were broken. Without destruction, there would be no construction. Lin Xian gritted his teeth and silently endured. Fortunately, Lin Xian's physique was strong, and he had the heaven-devouring jar. He was only slightly injured, but his life was not in danger. However, this attack landed on the White Bone Shield. The White Bone Shield started to shake violently. Cracks even appeared on the surface of the shield. It was about to be pierced through. After all, this 10,000-mile chase contained the wrath of the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. Its power was terrifying to the extreme. If not for the fact that Lin Xian possessed the Sword World, he would have been able to continuously provide the power of the heaven-swallowing jar. Otherwise, his body would have been shattered into pieces and turned into a bloody mist. Even so, he still vomited large mouthfuls of blood. The Yellow Spring Great Emperor was indeed powerful. A true Great Emperor was definitely the top existence in the universe. Lin Xian was still unable to fight head-on. After this attack, the White Bone Mountain that was tens of thousands of miles long turned into ashes. Only the White Bone Cave was still there. The situation in the White Bone Cave was incomparably miserable. The White Bone Shield was pierced through, and a hole appeared. The power of the 10,000-mile chase entered the White Bone Cave and tore open a crack. There was a place in the White Bone Cave that was originally filled with palaces and pavilions. However, at this moment, everything turned into nothingness. Countless people were turned into pieces by this attack. Lin Xian also fell into the ruins. The light on the black jar dimmed. However, Lin Xian still walked out from inside. He looked around. He spat out 2 mouthfuls of blood. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes and then smiled. From the looks of it, there shouldn't be any extreme weapons here. Moreover, the Great Emperors weren't here either. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been chased for tens of thousands of miles and directly fallen into the White Bone Cave. After all, this was a slap in the face for the great emperors. No great emperor was willing to see their sect destroyed. Since the great emperors weren't here and the extreme weapons weren't here, then Lin Xian had nothing to worry about. The situation in the White Bone Cave was extremely miserable. Those powerhouses and elders were crazily screaming. What happened? Why did the Yellow Spring Great Emperor attack us? Damn it! Is the White Bone Cave a pushover? Our great emperor will definitely not forgive you when he returns. These people shouted angrily. Suddenly, they saw a figure appear in the ruins. It was a person. It wasn't a skeleton. This wasn't someone from the White Bone Cave. Who was it? Was it someone from the Yellow Spring sect? Damn it! Kill him. These people rushed up. Lin Xian's eyes bloomed with light. The 6 paths of reincarnation directly killed the souls of these people. Those corpses fell down. The others were as if they were facing a great enemy. An expert was attacking. They were extremely nervous. Who are you? As Lin Xian swallowed the elixirs in the sword world, he said with a smile, "My name is Lin Wudi. Just now, the Yellow Spring Great Emperor's attack was to kill me." What? You're that Lin Wudi? These people were angry. What shocked them even more was the second sentence. He was chasing after you. You used our White Bone Cave as a shield. You wanted to shift the blame to the east. Damn it. Kill him. Those people roared crazily. It's all because of this kid. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You deserve to die. I have no enmity with you. But you actually joined forces with the Yellow Spring sect to kill me. If I was weak, I would have died in your hands long ago. Why are you pretending to be pitiful now? Damn it. Didn't the Great Elder kill you? The surrounding people roared crazily. Lin Xian shouted coldly, Great Elder, he has already died under my sword. That's impossible. The surrounding people roared crazily. Lin Xian, on the other hand, searched through the spring process and then threw a skull over. This is your Great Elder's head, right? Take a look. When they saw the bone, the surrounding people went crazy. It was really their Great Elder. Was their Great Elder dead? No. These people roared crazily. Lin Xian had already taken out the immortal slaying sword. The battle broke out. Lin Xian was like a wolf in a flock of sheep, constantly attacking. As he attacked, he used the heaven-defying sword, the Chenkuan sword. At the same time, a true dragon appeared on his body. The 9 transformations of the true dragon. The dragon claws reached into the ground and grabbed the spirit veins below the great emperor. That power poured into Lin Xian's body and healed his injuries. Lin Xian released the demonic shadow again. The demonic shadow roared, and a black hole formed in front of him. Inside, there were 1,000 black hands, covering the sky and the earth, grabbing over. These people were all caught in the black hole. This time, the demonic shadow wanted to absorb the power on the spot. Obviously, he was afraid of Lin Xian. Lin Xian also frowned tightly. Forget it, I can't care so much. In any case, he would have to separate from the demonic shadow soon. Therefore, he ignored it. He would just let the demonic shadow attack. No. The people of the Bone Cave roared crazily. Their faces were filled with despair. A few elders roared at the sky. Send a message to the ancient emperor. Chapter 5770. The powerhouses of the White Bone Cave were terrified. They wanted to escape and inform their Bone Emperor. However, it was useless. A world of sword Tao enveloped the area. The biting cold sword chi destroyed everything. No one could get out. Anyone who got close to it was cut into pieces by the sword chi. The powerhouses of the White Bone Cave were desperate. At the same time, the battle here attracted the attention of the surrounding people. Although the White Bone Mountain Range was a forbidden area, no one dared to enter. But now, the power here was really terrifying. Even though they were separated by endless mountains, they could still feel it. Some powerhouses of the families and sects rose into the air. They looked into the distance. Someone exclaimed, "Isn't that the White Bone Cave?" Oh my God, there was a big battle there. Someone was attacking the White Bone Cave. These people felt that it was unbelievable. Who was so bold? and it seemed that the other party had succeeded, because the white bone cave was already covered in a sea of blood. How many powerhouses would die? How angry would the Bone Emperor be when he knew? In the white bone cave, Lin Xian was like a peerless sword god, suppressing and destroying everything. The people of the white bone cave were desperate. In the end, those elders rushed into the main hall where the Bone Emperor cultivated. They used their last trump card. The Bone Emperor was not there, but he still left something behind. It was a white bone statue. At this moment, when they saw the white bone statue, they kowtowed and said, "Please save us from the fire and water." The white bone statue let out a cracking sound. Then, it started to move slowly. Who was it? How dare he come here and behave so atrociously? His movements were very slow, but his speed was extremely fast. Every step he took shook the sky and the earth. After 3 steps, he was outside. In the next moment, a powerful aura swept in all directions. It was so powerful. Some of the young geniuses of the White Bone Cave were stunned. What was this? They were not sure. However, there were also a few older powerhouses who said, "This is the statue that the Bone Emperor made himself." Legend said that it was made according to the Bone Emperor's son. The Bone Emperor had a son. However, he died unexpectedly. In order to commemorate his son, the Bone Emperor created such a statue. Usually, she stayed with him. It was made from special white bones. On top of that, he had spent most of his time with the god monarch, which gave him a terrifying status. Was he finally out of the cave? Was he a different kind of emperor? Lin Xian also stared at the other party and shook his head slightly. So it's not the Bone Emperor. If that's the case, then he's no threat to me. What a stupid thing. Leave it here forever. The skeleton snorted coldly. He raised his hand, and a violent force swept towards Lin Xian. The surrounding people were overjoyed. As expected of the Bone Emperor, the statue made by him was indeed terrifying. The moment he made his move, it was already enough. Facing this terrifying white bone palm, Lin Xian was incomparably calm. He raised his arm and slashed out with his sword. The immortal slaying sword shone brightly between heaven and earth. The terrifying storm was split apart, and the skeletal hand was also sent flying. White Bones, who was in front of him, snorted coldly. The opponent's strength was indeed terrifying. However, he was also furious. He struck out with both palms, and the white bone seal was formed. The 2 palms joined together, forming a huge white bone seal that slammed down fiercely. The surrounding void was shattered. The sky fell, and the earth cracked. Lin Xian waved the immortal slaying sword, and the long sword turned into a sharp aura. It collided with the white bone heart. With a cracking sound, the terrifying white bone seal was pierced through by the sword. Cracks spread out in all directions. Then, Lin Xian slashed with his sword again. The sharp sword light turned into a sword shadow. It enveloped the white bone. The white bone's expression changed, and an extremely terrifying light bloomed from his body. His claws kept dancing, forming 18 big seals. White bone claws. This was also a very terrifying unique skill. Every time, the claws could shatter the sky. It collided with the immortal slaying sword, emitting an earth-shaking sound. The 2 fought, and Lin Xian was also surprised. He had to admit that this white bone was indeed powerful. It was even more terrifying than the ordinary 8-crown king. However, so what? He held the sword with one hand and performed a heaven-defying sword technique. With the other hand, he clenched his fist and performed a heaven-defying punch. He hit White Bones until he kept retreating. Boom, boom. Finally, cracks appeared on the White Bone's body. When the powerhouses of the White Bone Cave saw this scene, they all went crazy. This was personally created by the Bone Emperor. The White Bone also roared angrily. A white flame appeared on his body, bringing with it a cold and gloomy aura. It seemed to be able to freeze everything. As expected, the flames spread to the surroundings. The surroundings were frozen. Lin Xian's body also came into contact with the frost. In an instant, he was frozen into an ice sculpture. That was great. The people of the White Bone Cave were delighted. However, in the next moment, the ice sculpture shattered. Sword Chi soared into the sky from Lin Xian's body. It cut off the power of the ice. Lin Xian held the immortal slaying sword with both hands and shouted coldly, "Heaven-defying sword, flying immortal from outer space." His entire body leaped high into the air, turning into an arc. He and the scenery became one, and a sword flew out. It split heaven and earth. The ice in the surroundings was also shattered. The white bone's head was even sent flying by the sword. The headless skeleton fell to the ground and shattered into countless pieces. And in that head, there was a soul that flew towards the depths of the white bone palace. "Wanna leave?" The 6 paths of reincarnation suppressed it. Lin Xian used the Rinnegan and opened the 6 paths of reincarnation. The phantoms of the 6 worlds surrounded that soul. That soul let out a miserable voice. "I am the son of the Bone Emperor. You killed me. The Bone Emperor will not spare you." It was just a soul imprint. What was there to be arrogant about? Lin Xian sneered, took out the swallowing heaven jar, and slapped it forward. He had killed the real Emperor's son. Not to mention this. "No, you can't kill me. I know a big secret." The white bones suddenly roared. Lin Xian's hand stopped, and a black vortex appeared. He didn't kill the other party. Instead, he sealed the other party. A secret? It was a little interesting. After doing all this, he waved his hand, and the Chinkuan sword technique was destroyed. Everything in the surrounding white bone cave turned into sharp swords and flew in all directions. Large amounts of palaces collapsed. Those powerhouses also turned into blood mist. This was the end of the world. Lin Xian rose into the air and disappeared. On this day, hell was shocked. The white bone cave was destroyed. This was really unbelievable. Within a few days, the Netherworld Hall was destroyed, and the white bone cave was destroyed. 2 large sects were actually razed to the ground. Who was it? Countless people were shocked. This kind of method could be said to be heaven-defying. Of course, the great emperors were not in these 2 sections. Otherwise, they would not have been destroyed so easily. But even so, it was still shocking. Who would be so daring? Some people guessed that it was the Underworld Temple. However, more people shook their heads. The Underworld Temple should not have the guts. Then who was it? They did not know. However, they knew that a storm was about to blow. The 2 great emperors were probably going to overturn the underworld. No matter who made the move, they would all die without a doubt. Chapter 5771. Lin Xian came to a place where no one was around. He took out the sky-swallowing jar and released the remnant soul of the other party. He said, "Tell me, what's the secret? You'd better be able to impress me. Otherwise, I won't hold back." "If I tell you, will you let me go?" The soul roared. Lin Xian said, "You can only trust me. Besides, I can let you go. Because I really don't take you seriously." "Damn it." The soul gritted his teeth. "Am I despised?" However, he was really lucky. This way, he might be able to survive. He said, "My mother knows the whereabouts of a wordless heavenly steel." "Do you know why? Can you successfully attack the White Bone Cave?" "Because my mother is going to seize that wordless heavenly steel. This is a big secret. Let me go." Lin Xian was stunned when he heard this. Then, he was overjoyed. Great. He found a wordless heavenly steel. As for the second one, he was worried that he had no clue. He didn't expect that the clue would come now. It turned out that it was with the Bone Emperor. No wonder last time at the Bridge of Helplessness, there was only the Yellow Spring Emperor and no Bone Emperor. It turned out that the other party was going to seize the other wordless heavenly steel. But he didn't know where it was. He asked the soul. The soul said, "I don't know either. Only my mother knows such an important thing." There was another question. Lin Xian asked, "Who did the Bone Emperor team up with?" "You even know this?" The soul was too shocked. Because this matter was extremely secret. Only he knew. The other elders didn't know. He said, "It's a frog. To be exact, it's half a frog. So it's him." After Lin Xian heard this, he narrowed his eyes. Green-robed Emperor. Enemies are bound to meet on a narrow road. All right, I've told you everything. Let me go. The soul gritted his teeth and said. Lin Xian said, I only promised not to kill you, but I didn't say that I would let you go. I still have use for you. Since you're in my hands, I don't think the Bone Emperor will attack me easily. You're despicable. The soul roared crazily. Lin Xian shook his head. I promised not to kill you, and I've done it. As for the rest, you don't have to think too much about it. With a wave of his hand, the black vortex engulfed the other party once more. The road ahead was not going to be easy. Lin Xian took a deep breath. This time, he had offended two mini Great Emperors. He had offended the Yellow Spring Great Emperor and the White Bone Great Emperor. As for the green-robed Great Emperor, they were sworn enemies to begin with. 3 great monarchs were going to deal with him. Even with the help of the Netherworld monarch, he could only stop 1 great monarch. As for the remaining 2, Lin Xian had a headache just thinking about them. However, since he had chosen this path, he would not regret it. So what if he had to become the enemy of the entire world? He asked Dalong, "What can we do?" Dalong said, "With your current strength, even if you use the sky-swallowing jar and the great dragon sword, you will not be able to defeat them." It wasn't easy to kill a great emperor. However, hell was also incomparably mystical. There were many places that were forbidden grounds. Perhaps you can borrow the power of hell. After Lin Xian heard this, his eyes lit up. That was a good idea. However, the area was too big, and it wasn't easy to find some forbidden grounds. He thought of the 18 levels of hell. Even in the infernal realm, it was an extremely mysterious place. It seemed like he could go inside to investigate. At this moment, Dalong also said, "Oh right, I remember that the 9th level of hell, it seemed to have sealed an incredible existence. Moreover, there seemed to be something that belonged to him in the ancient land. Look for it. If you can find it, there might be an unexpected effect." Really? Lin Xian was overjoyed. He quickly condensed many clones and began to search in the sword world. At the same time, he headed to the 9th level of hell. The news of the destruction of the White Bone Cave spread and shocked hell. After the people of the Underworld Temple found out, they also felt dizzy. This guy was really too bold. Even the Netherworld monarch wanted to cry but had no tears. Because until now, they still hadn't seen Lin Xian return. Could it be that this kid had escaped? Why did they feel like they had been tricked? The others were also terrified. If the other party ran away, then when Gu Huang returned, he would definitely take revenge on them. The Underworld Temple was in danger. The Netherworld monarch stood in the sky and said, "Do you still want to be my enemy?" That kid had already offended too many people. The Netherworld monarch stopped and didn't attack again. He furrowed his brows tightly. Had he been tricked? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel angry. However, at this moment, a flying sword streaked across the sky in the distance. It split open in the air and turned into gorgeous fireworks. Lin Xian's voice came from inside. "Senior Netherworld monarch, I haven't left hell. When the time comes, let's work together again." Lin Xian's voice made the Netherworld monarch so angry that he directly shattered the void. He chased after him frantically. This time, the Netherworld monarch didn't stop him. It seemed that the other party had found a place to hide. Thinking of this, he looked down at the people of the Underworld Temple and said, "From now on, everyone from the Underworld Temple come back. Everyone from the Underworld God Hall, come back. We have to get through this crisis." The other people took a deep breath. In 3 days, they had summoned all the members of the Underworld Temple. These people entered the Underworld Temple. Then, it quickly shrank to the size of a walnut and was swallowed by the Netherworld monarch. To be honest, he was also afraid that the 2 great emperors would come for revenge. The Netherworld monarch searched crazily. On the other side, the Bone Emperor and the green-robed Great Emperor had also returned. They were happy because they had obtained a wordless sky steel. With this piece in hand, the rest of the matter would be much easier to handle. When the Bone Emperor returned to the White Bone Mountain, he was stunned. Where was his White Bone Cave? At this moment, there was a ruin below. Endless bone fragments were scattered all over the ground. What happened? The Bone Emperor was stunned. He landed. With a wave of his hand, the bones turned into powder. He strode forward, his eyes searching. Damn it! He discovered that the White Bone Cave had been attacked by someone, and it had been directly destroyed. What happened? The Bone Emperor roared crazily. At this moment, the endless void shattered. The souls of the people in hell trembled. They knew that the Bone Emperor had returned. A storm was coming. The green-robed Great Emperor had a strange look on his face. Not long after they left, a large sect was wiped out by someone. Who was it? Could it be the other two sects? In their opinion, only the Netherworld Monarch and the Netherworld Monarch had such means. Could it be that they had joined forces while they were away? Damn it! The Bone Emperor roared. He reached out his white bone claw and grabbed a nearby clan. The clan's villa was destroyed. The palace and the experts were turned into a bloody mist. The clan leader knelt in the white bone claw and begged, "Spare me, Bone Emperor." The Bone Emperor snorted and attacked. The entire clan had been wiped out. When the Bone Emperor heard the news, he went crazy. He said, "The White Bone Cave was destroyed. The Netherworld sect was destroyed." Huh. The green-robed Great Emperor was stunned. The Yellow Spring Great Emperor's sect was also destroyed. Then, the one who did it was definitely the Underworld God Hall. The Underworld Temple's Netherworld Monarch was crazy. Chapter 5772. That didn't seem to be the case. Bone Emperor made his move again. He flew over and searched the souls of all the clans he saw. Along the way, he destroyed more than a dozen clans and finally got a more complete piece of information. Acheron Palace was destroyed first, followed by Whitebone Cave. Before that, the two clans joined hands and went to Underworld Temple to seize the wordless Sky Steel. Damn Emperor Ming! He roared crazily and rushed to Underworld Temple. However, when they arrived, they found that Underworld Temple was gone. Did Emperor Ming escape? As for Ming Di, he had already left behind a message. The wordless Sky Steel was in Lin Wudi's hands. It was also Lin Wudi who destroyed Acheron Palace and Whitebone Cave. Lin Wudi? Bone Emperor frowned. When did this happen? They had come to hell, and such a figure had appeared. The green-robed Great Emperor's face turned ugly. He thought of a brat, an extremely arrogant brat. Could it be that guy? Was he here too? Do you know him? Bone Emperor gritted his teeth. The green-robed Great Emperor said, "It's very likely that he's an enemy, but let's find Emperor Ming first." They began to search for Emperor Ming and soon met up with him. Bone Emperor asked, "What happened?" The Yellow Spring Great Emperor told him everything he knew. When Emperor Ming heard this, he shattered the mountains and rivers below. How could a young man named Lin Wudi, the Sixth Crown King, be so powerful? He couldn't believe it. That boy was very strange. He wasn't from Earth Prison. He came from the outside and had a supreme weapon, half of the sky-swallowing jar. Hearing this, the green-robed Great Emperor said, "It's that boy. Damn it. He came to Earth Prison again. He's from the domain of the gods." Bone Emperor's pupils constricted. Emperor Ming was also surprised. Is the domain of the gods an ancient force, making a comeback? Moreover, a young man was so terrifying. He stared at the green-robed Great Emperor and said, "You're from the Otherworld, aren't you? Bone Emperor, did you team up with him? You don't have to worry about this." Bone Emperor said, "The most important thing now is to capture Lin Wudi." Thinking of this, Bone Emperor was furious. He was so angry that he vomited blood. This time, it was really too embarrassing. Two great emperor sects had been uprooted by Six Crown King. If they couldn't find him, they would be too ashamed to face anyone. Search. The Yellow Spring Great Emperor said, "I have sealed the hell. That kid can't escape." He was still in hell. The three martial monarchs worked together to search for Lin Xian. Everyone had their own reasons to kill each other. They would not hold back. They would definitely eliminate this hidden danger with their own hands. Lin Xian had already arrived at the 9th layer of hell. This place was incomparably gloomy and terrifying. The surrounding Black Mountain range was filled with chilly winds. There were also countless bone fragments under his feet. It was clear that countless experts were buried here. When night fell, there were all sorts of screams that made one's scalp go numb. During Lin Xian's absence, many wraiths attacked him. However, before they could even get close, they were extinguished by the Nine Suns' divine flame. Lin Xian continued to search the ninth level of hell. However, it was incomparably vast. He used his Rinnegan to search. At the same time, he took out an earth token. This was given to him by the Soul Emperor, and it also had the aura of the Hell Path. With the combination of the two, it was more convenient for Lin Xian to search. Sure enough, he felt a shocking aura on the ninth level, especially at night. Moreover, every time the moon was full, the terrifying aura was even more terrifying. It seemed to cover heaven and earth. Lin Xian could hear the sound of breathing at night. Between the inhalation and exhalation, there was supreme power. It was so terrifying. Lin Xian was shocked. Who was it? Could it be that a great emperor was buried here? Dalong said, "It's not a great emperor. Look around in the deity domain and see if you can find a feather. If you can find it, I'll tell you. Otherwise, you'll just be adding to your troubles. You've already offended so many great emperors. Don't offend her anymore." Lin Xian searched in the sword world with all his might. A feather? He searched for a long time. Finally, he really did find it. A feather was 10,000 meters long. When Lin Xian saw it, he couldn't believe it. Was there such a big feather? Was it a beast? How terrifying was its original body? Dalong, is this it? Lin Xian saw that this feather was extremely sharp. He knocked on it, making a metallic sound. After such a long time, this feather still existed. It was incredible. Dalong said, "It's really here. This is the primordial true feather, not an ordinary feather. Only the top demon birds have it. Moreover, there's only one on each body. How precious do you think it is?" After Lin Xian heard this, he asked in surprise, "Could it be that a demon bird is buried in the ninth level of hell?" Dalong nodded. "Since you found this feather, I can tell you. The ninth level of hell contained the 10,000 Rock King." Lin Xian frowned. He originally thought that if it wasn't a great emperor, it would at least be a supreme, right? But now, it was just a king. How many crown kings? 10 crown kings, Dalong said. Lin Xian was stunned. 10 crown kings? That was rare. Dalong said, "No, you don't understand. 10 crown kings are not rare. They're very rare. Those who could become 10 crown kings were very anxious, so they changed this length of time into 1,000,000 years. But there weren't many of them. Even those who had become great emperors hadn't been 10 crown kings before. You have to know that after quasi-emperors, there were great emperors. And quasi-emperors were also divided into strong and weak. So, there were several crown kings. Normally, if 9 crown king took another step forward, he would be able to condense true divine flames and immortal energy. He would become a true great emperor. However, it was very rare for 9 crown king to become 10 crown king. Back then, the Azure Emperor became a great emperor because of 10 crown king. Once he became a great emperor, his combat power was very terrifying, far surpassing other great emperors. However, it was too difficult to become 10 crown king. Even great emperors might not be able to do it. And this 10,000 Rock King was 10 crown king. Lin Xian was shocked. How terrifying was this 10,000 Rock King's talent? He was puzzled. Didn't it become a great emperor in the end? Dalong said, "No, it was more tragic. The person who attacked it back then was a powerhouse from the Nirvana realm, and it was an extremely terrifying virtual immortal. He dared to call himself an immortal." Lin Xian was extremely shocked when he heard this. He had heard more about great emperors. Now that someone called himself an immortal, it must be someone who was extremely powerful. Back then, the virtual immortal had set his eyes on the 10,000 Rock King and wanted to take it as a mount. But the 10,000 Rock King was 10 crown king, and his talent was unparalleled. How could he be willing to be a mount? Even if the other party was a virtual immortal, he wouldn't agree. Therefore, after a great battle, the 10,000 Rock King was injured and suppressed, but he would rather die than submit. The virtual immortal was very angry, so he pulled out his tendons and skinned him, suppressing him in the 9th level of hell. He made him suffer endless pain. Lin Xian was furious when he heard this. The people of hell were really despicable. If he didn't become a mount, he would be skinned and skinned? Dalong said, "Hell is an existence that thinks of itself as the ruler. Anyone who dares to disobey them will end up miserably. The 10,000 Rock King was just one of them. Chapter 57-73. After hearing Dalong's words, Lin Xian sympathized with the king of 10,000 Pongs. He took a deep breath, took out the primordial feather, and stood on the 9th level of hell. As soon as he took out the feather, a low roar came from the 9th level of hell. Heaven and earth shook, and a terrifying aura spread out. It seemed like a giant was about to be resurrected. Very few people could come to the 9th level of hell, so the situation here didn't alarm anyone. Lin Xian was shocked. Was this the power of the king of 10,000 Pongs? He saw the sky shatter and the earth split open. It formed a bottomless abyss. Then there was another roar. The murderous intent in the sky, along with the storm, engulfed Lin Xian. Lin Xian took out the sky-swallowing jar to block it. At the same time, he raised the feather high and said in a low voice, "I came here with no evil intentions. I want to cooperate with you." Lin Xian waved the feather with all his might. He felt the power of the feather. The roar was even more terrifying. The surrounding earth was torn apart, and a huge corpse appeared below. The corpse was rotten, and white bones appeared in many places. Not only that, there were countless chains on the bones, suppressing it. The king of 10,000 Pong's corpse was too powerful. It was at least 1,000,000 miles long. No wonder a feather was 10,000 meters long. Were you sent by the otherworld heavenly king to humiliate me? I won't submit. A deep voice rang out, sounding extremely stiff. Obviously, the king of 10,000 Pongs hadn't spoken for tens of thousands of years. The murderous intent on his body was shocking. Together with the heaven and earth, it carried a chilling aura. Lin Xian said, "I'm not from the otherworld heavenly king. I'm from the realm of the gods. I'm their enemy." The realm of the gods? After hearing this, the king of 10,000 Pong's murderous intent lessened. "How can I believe you?" Lin Xian said, "You don't have to believe me. I'm here to cooperate with you. To be exact, it's a deal. After some time, a great emperor from the otherworld heavenly king will come to kill me. I hope that you can help me block him. If you can do it, I will return your origin stone true feather to you." Really? Hearing this, the king of 10,000 Pongs became excited again. The primordial true feather was the source of its power. If he could obtain it, he might really be able to recover. However, he still said, "My current state is very wrong. How many tens of thousands of years had passed? Logically speaking, I should have died long ago. However, I am still alive. Because I was punished. This punishment prevented me from dying. Let me suffer for eternity." After hearing this, Lin Xian was extremely shocked. The means of a virtual immortal are really terrifying. I have a way to help you recover some of your strength temporarily. Furthermore, you only need to restrain him. The reason Lin Xian said this was because Dalong had told Lin Xian something else. In the sword world, there was another type of fruit that could be eaten by the 10,000 Pong King. If he ate it, the 10,000 Rock King would gain super strength for a short period of time. As for this fruit, Lin Xian had already started to look for it. He remembered that he had seen it once last time. However, at that time, he didn't know its use, so he didn't pay much attention to it. Now, he entered the sword world again and began to search. Those clones withstood the enormous pressure and flew in all directions. When the 10,000 Pong King heard this, he said, "In that case, I can cooperate with you. Young man, tell me your name." "My name is Lin Xian. You can call me Lin Wudi." Lin Wudi. The 10,000 Pong King was stunned. This name is really arrogant. Lin Xian laughed after hearing this. More than one person has said this. However, I like this title. The 10,000 Pong King was silent. He saw Lin Xian's spirit. Back then, he had also reached the 10-crown king at a young age. He was arrogant and unruly, looking down on the world. However, in the end, he was still defeated by someone. Furthermore, he was suppressed here. He was tortured for eternity. If your enemy is really Bayan, I will help you. I don't want you to end up like me." The 10,000 Pong King said in a deep voice. Lin Xian nodded. He even gave the primordial feather to the other party in advance. This made the 10,000 Pong King even more shocked. Aren't you afraid that I will go back on my word? Lin Xian shook his head. Senior, you are not that kind of person. Ha ha ha. The 10,000 Pong King looked up and laughed. That's right. I am not an ungrateful person. I helped you. The 10,000 Pong King's million-mile body took the primordial feather and sank into the ground. He said, before the enemy comes, I still have some time to recover. As for Lin Xian, he was also making the best use of his time to search for that fruit. Dalong said, that fruit is called the once fruit. It was a very strange name. It could make people return to their past state for a short period of time. This had nothing to do with time. It was just an improvement to the body, and the surrounding time and space would not change. This was the best for the 10,000 Pong King. According to Dalong, after eating the once fruit, there would be a period of recovery. This time was uncertain. According to the maturity of the fruit, Lin Xian finally found it. After finding this fruit, Dalong looked at it and said, about 3 days. 3 days? Xian thought for a moment and decided that it was enough. Then, he sent a voice transmission to the 10,000 Pong King. He was ready to lure the enemy here. Take this fruit and swallow it when you see the enemy. 3 days will allow you to temporarily return to your past strength. After the 10,000 Pong King took it, he was also shocked. There is such a fruit. 3 days, I got it. Lin Xian took a deep breath. He also rose into the air, left the 9th level of hell, and appeared outside. As soon as he appeared, he passed the news down. He even challenged the Yellow Spring Great Emperor and the Bone Emperor. Yellow Spring Great Emperor, how does it feel to have your sect destroyed? When the Bone Emperor comes back and his sect is gone, is he very angry? Come and bite me. This news spread throughout the underworld in an instant. As a result, the people of the underworld went crazy. This guy appeared again and didn't escape. What was he doing? Was he provoking the great emperors? And it was 2 great emperors. Did he want to die? Soon, the news spread. It wouldn't take long for the 2 great emperors to find out. Sure enough, after the Yellow Spring Great Emperor received the news, his face turned green. On the other side, the Bone Emperor also received the news. This news was passed to him by his subordinates, because a bone dragon had returned. Beside this bone dragon, there were some white bone powerhouses. He prostrated on the ground. Greetings, Bone Emperor. When the Bone Emperor saw him, he frowned. You are still alive. Where were you before? The bone dragon said, previously, I had been leading people to search for the whereabouts of the wordless heavenly steel. So, I didn't participate in the battle of the sect. Please punish me. The Bone Emperor waved his hand and said, forget it, it's not your fault. It's lucky that you are alive. The Bone Dragon thanked him and hurriedly told him what had happened. After hearing this, the Bone Emperor's face turned green. That kid appeared? He really didn't know what was good for him. The green-robed Great Emperor next to him was excited. Catch him. This kid has a lot of treasures on him. It's enough to make us Great Emperors excited. They were ready to move out. The Bone Dragon also led a group of people and hurriedly followed. The 3 Great Emperors charged towards Lin Xian together. On the other side, Emperor Hades received a voice transmission from a flying sword. Help me block the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. This kid really didn't leave? Emperor Hades was surprised. Soon, he also took action. The current underworld god hall had already been swallowed into its stomach. Therefore, he wasn't afraid of others' revenge. Since that was the case, he would take action and prepare to intercept the Yellow Spring Great Emperor. However, could that kid fight against the other 2 Great Emperors? He didn't know. If the other party couldn't fight against them, he would turn around and leave. Chapter 57-74. The 3 Great Emperors were extremely fast. Their souls covered the sky and soon, they locked onto Lin Xian's position. In the next moment, the void shattered and the 3 Great Emperors descended. Die, kid! The Great Emperor of Yellow Spring struck out with his palm. However, at this moment, heaven and earth split open, and Underworld Emperor came out to stop him. Damn it! The great emperor of Yellow Spring roared. Bone Emperor also made his move. He sneered, "Kid, do you think you can be arrogant with Ming Di protecting you? Ming Di can't even protect himself in front of us three great emperors." The white bone palm covered the sky and covered the earth. Lin Xin roared and slashed forward with the immortal slaying sword. He wanted to cut off his opponent's arm. With a clang, the two collided. It was like two divine mountains colliding. However, what shocked Lin Xian was that the immortal slaying sword was extremely sharp and could easily kill 8 Crown King. However, when they hit the skeletal hand, countless sparks flew out, but it didn't cause any damage. There was no crack at all. Instead, his blood and chi were in turmoil. His body cracked open, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Damn it. So this is the physique of a great emperor? It's really terrifying. His 9 young divine body had not reached major completion yet. Otherwise, he might be able to fight back. But now, the gap between him and Bone Emperor was too big. Die. Bone Emperor struck out with his palm. Lin Xin quickly defended himself. The heaven-devouring jar blocked the attack. His blood and chi were in turmoil. Indeed, he had an extreme weapon. When Bone Emperor saw the black jar, he narrowed his eyes and thought, "I don't care if you're the 8 Crown King or the 9 Crown King. Even if there were 10,000 of them, they wouldn't be able to block his palm. Anyone below the great emperor level would be turned into ashes." However, a single 6 Crown King had blocked his attack. If word got out, it would definitely shock the universe. "Kid, is the heaven-devouring jar your trump card? This weapon is not bad. I'll take it." Bone Emperor's white bone palm reached out again. Lin Xin roared at the sky. He crazily activated the power of the heaven-devouring jar. A black vortex appeared and swallowed him whole. Then, he turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly fled. "You want to leave? You can't run away." Bone Emperor's palm hit the air and pierced through heaven and earth. Then, he quickly charged over. The green-robed great emperor shouted coldly. He was coveting Lin Xian's treasures. How could he let him go? 2 great emperors chased after him. The Yellow Springs great emperor wanted to move as well, but was stopped by Ming Di. Emperor Hades sent a telepathic message to Lin Xian. "Kid, I can only help you stop one great emperor. The rest is up to you." The underworld's people were. They saw 2 great emperors of great emperors chasing after Lin. This Lin Wudi really did not know what was good for him. Even if he had 10,000 emperors, that was for sure. He would definitely die. However, there were also people who were shocked. He was able to block the attack of a great emperor at such a young age. Even if he died, his name would be passed down through the ages. Unfortunately, this kid's body was full of treasures. Just now, he used an extreme weapon to block the attack. They wondered which great emperor's disciple he was. Everyone in the underworld was watching the battle. However, it didn't take long for them to realize that he had disappeared. There was a terrifying 9 Crown King. He looked into the distance. Suddenly, he said, "Lin Wudi has entered the 18th level of hell." The 2 great emperors had also entered. Should they follow them and take a look? Some peerless experts wanted to watch the battle with their own eyes. They quietly followed him. Of course, most of them didn't dare to go over. Not to mention the pursuit of the 2 great emperors. At this moment, the 2 great emperors were fighting above hell. Just the aura of the great emperors alone swept across all directions. It had already made countless people crawl on the ground. "Kid, do you think you can escape after entering the 18th level of hell? It's useless. This place can't scare us." Bone Emperor and the green-robed great emperor were chasing after him. However, they frowned. Under normal circumstances, even if a quasi-emperor had an extreme weapon, he wouldn't be able to use it. He wouldn't be able to use much power. But now, Lin Xin was an exception. Where did he get so much power to use an extreme weapon? If they caught him, they had to figure it out. Lin Xin didn't say a word. He flew crazily through several levels of hell. Finally, he arrived at the 9th level of hell. He stopped. Why didn't he run? Behind him, the 2 great emperors followed like shadows. In an instant, they arrived. They sneered and looked ahead. Bone Emperor looked around and said, "Is this the tomb you chose for yourself? Buried in the 9th level of hell, You think too highly of yourself. The green-robed great emperor also said, Why are you talking to him? Catch him first. He still has a wordless heavenly steel on him. The two great emperors were moving. Lin Xian transmitted his voice to Wan Pawang. At the same time, he said, Green-robed great emperor, it's time for you to die. The green-robed great emperor snorted. A mere ant dares to threaten me? He clapped his claws. Lin Xian didn't move, but the ground under his feet cracked. A white bone-like claw was also raised and collided with the other party. An earth-shattering sound was heard, and the white bone-like claw was knocked back. However, it blocked the green-robed great emperor's attack. The green-robed great emperor frowned. A white bone creature. He looked at Bone Emperor. What do you mean? Bone Emperor also said, If it's not someone from the White Bone Cave, who is it? Did this kid call for reinforcements again? They knew that there was Ming Di before. However, they didn't expect that there was someone else besides Ming Di. The green-robed great emperor said, This is the 9th level of hell. I remember that the virtual immortal seemed to have suppressed a demon beast here. Could it be him? Who do you think it is? Bone Emperor asked. The green-robed great emperor said, Of course it's Wan Pengwang. I didn't expect that someone would remember me. At this moment, a cold voice sounded. Then, the ground shattered, and a huge monster rose into the air. It covered the sky and the earth, and its terrifying aura was vast. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile as he looked at the figure. However, the green-robed great emperor's pupils shrank. King of 10,000 Rock, it's really you? You're not dead yet? Do you still dare to resist? Haven't I punished you enough all these years? He floated up and became Higgins' mount. Bone Emperor also looked forward and exclaimed, Is he the king of 10,000 Rock? The legendary Tin Crown King. To be honest, he didn't know the king of 10,000 Rock, but he had heard of him. However, he was still amazed. After all, although he was a great emperor, he was only a great emperor who had been promoted from the 9-Crown King. He couldn't reach the 10-Crown King yet. According to the legends, the quasi-emperors who could become the 10-Crown King were all extremely talented. They could defeat everyone in the same level. Therefore, the king of 10,000 Rock's talent was obvious. However, Bone Emperor smiled. He's just a prisoner, and he's neither human nor ghost. He had no chance to become a great emperor. After the king of 10,000 Rock came out, he roared in all directions. He got his true feather, and at the same time, he ate the fruit of the past. Therefore, his power kept rising, as if it was about to reach a peak. 3 days was enough for him to deal with the green-robed great emperor. He stared at the green-robed great emperor and said coldly, It's you, little frog, who only has half a body. Where's the virtual immortal? Let him come out. Chapter 5775. The virtual immortal lord has no time to bother with you. I've already become a great emperor, yet you dare to look down on me? Then, I'll suppress you again. The green-robed great emperor was furious. Back then, when the 10,000 Rock King swept through the place, Shao Chun was not even a quasi-emperor. He was still a mere saint. He couldn't even block a single attack from the other party. Back then, the 10,000 Rock King was an existence that he looked up to. However, things were different now. He was already a great emperor. Although it had lost half of its body, it still possessed true immortal energy. As for the other party, he had already become a prisoner. Therefore, he wanted to teach the other party a lesson. The green-robed great emperor thrust his palm forward. A terrifying killing intent, together with a sky full of poisonous gas, rushed towards the 10,000 Rock King. The 10,000 Rock King roared. His voice was like thunder as it rushed towards the palm. The collision between the two was earth-shattering. The enormous figure of the 10,000 Peng Emperor shuddered. However, from the looks of it, he did not suffer too much of an impact. He snorted coldly. Do you think that just because I've been suppressed for so many years, I'm not as strong as I used to be? My strength is indeed not what it used to be, but it's not something that you, this little frog, can contend against. Damn it. The green-robed great emperor was furious. He turned into a bolt of green lightning and rushed over to engage in a fierce battle with the other party. On the other hand, the Bone Emperor didn't make a move at all. After watching a few moves, he was incomparably amazed. Legend had it that Tin Crown King was already very close to becoming a great emperor. In fact, he might even be able to compete with the great emperors. Previously, it was only a rumor, but now, he was witnessing it with his own eyes. Sure enough, it was true. Although the green-robed great emperor was missing half of his body, he was only handling matters. However, his strength was not something that ordinary quasi-emperors could compare to. Nine Crown King was like an ant in front of him. However, it was surprising that the king of 10,000 Rock Fist could withstand it. Beside him, Lin Xian was also surprised. So this is the 10 Crown Champion? It feels like it's on a completely different level from the 9 Crown Champion. He had seen the 9 Crown King before, and had even used the Universe Ring to injure him. While they were powerful, they were not so powerful that they were invincible. But now, he had seen the 10,000 Rock King's combat power. It was truly shocking. Apart from the lack of true immortal energy and divine flame, there was nothing else. His physique and strength weren't much different from a great emperor's. It was truly terrifying. Little fellow, you're still in the mood to be envious? You won't have the chance to become the 10 Crown King, because today will be the day of your death. The Bone Emperor turned his head and looked at Lin Xian. There was no need to fear the 10,000 Pong King. He was suppressed here and had no way to escape. So what if he was arrogant? As for the brat in front of him, it was better to deal with him first. He waved his hand, and the divine fire on his body erupted. It was a white flame that appeared in the surroundings and sealed off the entire world. Let's see how you can escape. If you kill me, you will regret it. Lin Xian said coldly. Stupid. Bone Emperor remained unmoved. His eyes shone with a cold light. He flicked his eyes and fired a white flame at Lin Xian. Before it even arrived, Lin Xian already felt as if his body was about to split apart. He shouted angrily, urging the power of his god body to resist. Unable to block it, Lin Xian could only use the heaven-devouring jar. A sonorous sound rang out. Lin Xian was pushed back, and his face turned pale. The Bone Emperor was also surprised. What a strong physique. You can withstand the residual power of my flame. Look at you. You must have the legendary 9 Yang divine body. In the starry sky, the physique ranked 11th. After reaching the phenomenal level, you can compete with the great emperors. Of course, it's just the physique. Without the real divine fire, you are nothing. Not to mention that your physique hasn't reached the phenomenal level yet. Lin Xian snorted. I heard that you have a son? The Bone Emperor's pupils constricted. After he returned, he found that the statue in the White Bone Cave was gone. Could it be that this brat took it away? Do you know what the consequences of threatening me are? Hand over your soul. Then, kneel on the ground and I will give you a quick death. Otherwise, I will make you suffer a fate worse than death. Just like the 10,000 Pong King, you will be tortured forever until the end of the universe. The Bone Emperor's voice was so sharp that the 9th level couldn't withstand it. The void kept shattering. Lin Xian sneered. I will also give you a chance. Your son is now a remnant soul. If you don't want him to completely disappear from this world, I advise you to stop as soon as possible and give me your wordless sky steel. I will let go of your son's remnant soul. You're not qualified to talk about conditions with me. The Bone Emperor took a step forward, and his aura erupted. He was a high and mighty emperor, a peerless powerhouse who looked down on the world. What right did a small and have to negotiate with him? Boom. A terrifying force pressed down. The divine fire pulsed, and a destructive force rushed toward the sky-swallowing official jar. The sky-swallowing jar kept bobbing up and down, like a boat in the sea, which could capsize at any time. Lin Xian, who was inside, was also shocked. Although his life was not in danger, it still made his blood boil. He even spat out blood. He gritted his teeth. Do you think I don't dare to do it? He flipped his hand and grabbed the remnant soul in the depths of the sky-swallowing jar. Then, he slapped him with his palm. The remnant soul let out a miserable cry. No, you promised me that you wouldn't kill me? How dare you? The Bone Emperor was furious. This was the voice of his son's remnant soul. It was indeed in the other party's hands. The other party dared to torture the remnant soul. He shouted angrily, "Go to hell!" He stretched out his palms, and the white bone divine claws grabbed the sky-swallowing jar. He held the sky-swallowing jar in his hand. Lin Xian also gritted his teeth. "You're excited, right? Well, let's see if you can kill me." He opened this world and crazily poured power into the sky-swallowing jar. Even after this, the sword world was affected. He couldn't care less. After the sky-swallowing jar received power, it suddenly exploded, and a black light condensed on it. Like a ghost face, it rushed over. The black vortex covered the white bone hand. The two collided, directly tearing the void into a black hole that connected to the universe. After a shocking collision, the sky-swallowing jar was pushed back again, nailing it between heaven and earth. The pair of white bone hands also returned. The light on them was a little dim. The Bone Emperor was really shocked. "You can activate the sky-swallowing jar with all your strength. Where did you get the power?" He was crazy. Previously, Lin Xian used the sky-swallowing jar to escape all the way. No matter how rich you are, you don't have the power now. How can you still be fully recovered? What? Do you think I have no foundation and can be slaughtered by you? What a joke. My foundation is even richer than yours. Lin Xian sneered in the sky-swallowing jar. He waved his hand, and the divine fire appeared, directly enveloping the white bone remnant soul. The white bone remnant soul let out a miserable cry. "Ah, mother, save me!" He already knew that the Bone Emperor had arrived, and at this moment, he was frantically crying for help. "Stop!" The Bone Emperor let out a sharp roar and rushed over. His eyes turned into a peerless sharp sword, enough to kill any 9-crown king. However, he couldn't kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian activated the sky-swallowing jar to resist. At the same time, he stood in the sky-swallowing jar like a mad god. There was a trace of madness in his eyes. A cold voice sounded, "Although I am only the 6-crown king now, I am not someone who can be suppressed by just anyone. So what if you are the Bone Emperor? So what if you are the Great Emperor?" Chapter 5776. At this moment, the entire place fell silent. It was as if everyone was stunned by Lin Xian's words. Ha ha ha. No wonder he dared to call himself Lin Wuti. The king of 10,000 Pongs burst into laughter after hearing Lin Xian's words. Boundless energy surged from his body. Meanwhile, the green-robed great emperor's face darkened. He couldn't suppress the king of 10,000 Pongs. What surprised him even more was that the Bone Emperor couldn't do anything to Lin Xian. "Are you kidding me?" The two great emperors were slapped in the face. He let out a furious roar, and his massive body enlarged, turning into a 1,000,000-mile-long frog. Although he only had half a body, he looked ferocious and terrifying. "Today, I will let you know the true power of a great emperor." True immortal opportunity circled around his body, emitting a mysterious aura. "Just you? You don't deserve to talk to me." The king of 10,000 Pungs was terrifying. Although he was only the king of 10 crowns and not a great emperor, he wasn't afraid of anything. The two behemoths started fighting again. On the other side, the Bone Emperor was trembling in anger. "You can't take him down? So what if you have the heaven-devouring jar?" She waved her hand and spat out a white bone banner. It grew bigger and bigger with a terrifying aura. This was her extreme weapon. She waved her hand, and the white bone banner flew towards the heaven-devouring jar. As the two extreme-grade weapons collided, she charged into the black vortex. "Without the heaven-devouring jar, you are just an ant. Let's see how you can be so arrogant in front of me." The Bone Emperor's cold voice could be heard, and the vortex was torn apart. When the broken soul in the heaven-devouring jar heard it, it exclaimed, "Great! Mother is here. Kid, you are dead." Lin Xian slapped him. "Shut up. Do you think she can kill me?" In the next moment, Lin Xian's body disappeared. The Bone Emperor couldn't kill Lin Xian again. He couldn't even find his head. "Damn kid, where are you?" Lin Xian entered the sword world. As soon as he entered, he used his sword chi to seal the broken soul. The broken soul couldn't be seen. Only a world of sword Tao could be seen. He shouted angrily, "Damn brat, what did you do to me? My mother will kill you." However, the answer he received was an ice-cold sword aura that pierced through his soul and seriously injured him. The sword world was incomparably mysterious. Even Lin Xian was not confident. Although the sword world would not be destroyed, if the Bone Emperor were to charge in, then this secret would not be able to be kept. However, this was a critical moment. Lin Xian couldn't care less. With a wave of his hand, the universe ring appeared in his hand. He was ready to find an opportunity to strike. Outside, Lin Xian disappeared into thin air, causing the Bone Emperor to be stunned. Space? She raised her head and roared, her soul filling the 9 heavens. Not to mention the 18 levels of hell, even the entire underworld had been enveloped by her. However, she still couldn't find any trace of him. Impossible? An insignificant quasi-emperor did not have the strength to use the power of space to escape from her. The other party hid nearby. Although, what kind of method was that? She didn't know, but she wouldn't let him go. Let the entire 9th level be destroyed. The Bone Emperor roared to the sky. She soared into the sky and then punched down. The space of the 9th level was completely shattered, and the sword world shook. Lin Xian frowned. Is this guy crazy? It seemed that he couldn't be so passive anymore. He directly threw out the universe ring, and a golden light pierced through the 9 heavens. With a roar, it whizzed out and charged into the sky. Found you. The Bone Emperor sneered, rushed over, and slapped the universe ring. She didn't care about such an attack. If it wasn't an extreme weapon, she was not afraid of anything. With a loud clang, her body swayed from the impact. The universe ring flew backward at an even faster speed and sank into the ground. As soon as Lin Xian appeared, he quickly withdrew the universe ring. The Bone Emperor stopped in mid-air. She was stunned. What was that just now? She didn't sense it. However, it was invincible. He hit her once. Although it didn't cause her any harm, it stopped her in her tracks. In fact, that thing wasn't even damaged. Where did this kid get such a treasure from? Her eyes emitted a cold light, as if the entire 9th level had turned into a world of ice and snow. She roared and charged over again. Lin Xian disappeared from this world that was as still as a sword. As expected of a great emperor, his physique was strong enough. The universe ring was useless. His voice sounded, "Bone Emperor, my trump card is not something you can imagine. We have no enmity, so why do we have to fight to the death? I only have one enemy, the green-robed great emperor. Also, do you really want your son to be turned into ashes? I promise that before you kill me, your son's remnant soul will disappear first. Even if you have heaven-defying means, you won't be able to recover because I have a Rinnegan. I can make him disappear completely." After saying all this, he threw out another soul force. In the sky, an eye appeared, releasing the aura of the 6 paths of reincarnation, as if forming a 6 paths world. Bone Emperor didn't make a move when she felt this power. She frowned. That's true. His means are too strange. In fact, the other party was capable of killing her son's soul right now. Thus, she was afraid of shooting at the rat for fear of breaking the vases. She gritted her teeth and said, "What do you want?" "It's simple. Use the wordless heavenly steel in exchange for your son's life, and you have to let me go." Bone Emperor, don't listen to him. This kid is not qualified to negotiate with us. The green-robed great emperor roared crazily in the distance. Bone Emperor roared, "Shut up." The green-robed great emperor was stunned. Then, he was sent flying by the King of Rock's wings. He stomped his feet in pain. Damn it, this woman is too stupid. She doesn't even want the treasure for a remnant soul? The green-robed great emperor was furious. If it were him, he wouldn't care whose remnant soul it was. In order to achieve his goal, he would do anything. He wouldn't hesitate at all, let alone negotiate. But now, the Bone Emperor was hesitating. The King of Rock seemed to have seen through the green-robed great emperor's thoughts. He snorted, "Heartless animal." The green-robed great emperor roared, "What do you know? I'm a high and mighty great emperor. I'm an immortal in the mortal world. What feelings do I have? Immortality and infinite power are my pursuits. Although he said so, this was just the green-robed Great Emperor's personal opinion. Bone Emperor stopped. Her face was gloomy. To be honest, she didn't want her son's remnant soul to disappear. Although the wordless heavenly steel was very important, she still hesitated at this moment. At this moment, the bone dragon behind her was crawling on the ground. He said telepathically, "Lord Bone Emperor, why don't we beat him at his own game and give him a fake one? You can leave the real one with me temporarily. Even if that kid is suspicious, he won't be able to find anything." Bone Emperor narrowed her eyes and nodded. That's the only way. As for the bone dragon behind her, she didn't doubt him. He was her subordinate and was extremely loyal. So, she secretly gave the real wordless heavenly steel to him. The bone dragon took out a fake one. Chapter 57:77. He couldn't tell if it was real or not. Bone Dragon said. Bone Emperor glanced at it and was stunned. Indeed, she couldn't tell if it was real or not at first glance. She thought that the kid wouldn't notice it. So, she said, "I can trade with you." Great. Lin Xian's lips curled up into a smile. He was right. The Bone Emperor was different from the green-robed Emperor. It had feelings. "Give me the wordless heavenly steel and let me go. I will release your son's remnant soul." "No, let's trade together," Bone Emperor said. Lin Xian sneered. "After the trade, I will have no more trump cards. I can't defeat you. What if you kill me? So, you must let me go first. Well, you better keep your promise. Otherwise, I will catch you even if you run to the end of the world. I will make you suffer forever." She waved her hand and threw the wordless heavenly steel to Lin Xian. Lin Xian took it and observed it. His Rinnegan shone. Bone Emperor was very nervous during the process. She was afraid that Lin Xian would notice something wrong. But not long after, Lin Xian withdrew his reincarnation power. He nodded and said, "Very good. Let me go now. Break the void." Boom. Bone Emperor broke the void and connected with the universe. Lin Xian entered the black hole. He covered the sky-swallowing jar and slowly disappeared. 3 days later, go to the edge of the netherworld and find your son's remnant soul. A cold voice sounded. Then, Lin Xian's figure disappeared. Damn it, you let him go. The green-robed emperor in the distance roared crazily. He abandoned the King of Rock and rushed to the universe. But he was stopped by Bone Emperor with the white bone banner. "What are you doing?" The green-robed emperor roared. "Are you going to be my enemy?" Bone Emperor said, "Don't be angry. Save my son first. That kid can't run away." She sent a message to the green-robed emperor. After hearing it, the green-robed emperor smiled cruelly. "I see. I thought you were stupid. Well, let's not care about that kid. Help me suppress the King of Rock first." The Bone Emperor also turned his gaze over. Wan Peng King snorted coldly. 2 against 1? I'm not in the mood to deal with you. Its body entered the ground, and it didn't plan on fighting anymore. It's not up to you to decide whether to fight or not. The green-robed Great Emperor charged into the ground. She had not been able to take down the other party in the previous exchange, which made her feel ashamed. Now that he was cooperating with the Bone Emperor, he had to give the 10,000 Rock King a good beating. However, not long after, he was sent flying. A crack had even appeared on his body. Damn it, what kind of power is this? The Bone Emperor was also horrified. She stared at the ground where a mysterious energy was circling around. No one could get close to it. The King of 10,000 Pongs sneered, "Do you think you can fight just because you want to? If I don't agree, you can't enter." Damn it. The green-robed Great Emperor gritted his teeth. He looked at it carefully for a long time and said, "This is an array set up by the virtual immortal to suppress the opponent. Damn it. That guy can't escape, and I can't get in." He was so angry that he vomited blood. "Since that's the case, let's go," the Bone Emperor said. She was not interested in the King of 10,000 Pongs. What she wanted was the remnant soul of her son. She waved her hand to summon the Bone Dragon. The Bone Emperor was stunned. Her hand stopped in midair. The next moment, She let out a shrill scream. She found that the bone dragon had disappeared. Lin Xian was gone, and so was the bone dragon. Damn it, what's going on? She was instantly furious. The wrath of the earth swept across the land again, shaking the entire area. Her soul covered the sky and earth. The green-robed great emperor also asked, "What's going on?" The bone emperor said, "Just now, I gave the fake wordless heavenly steel to Lin Wudi, and I gave the real one to my subordinate, the bone dragon. But now Lin Wudi and the bone dragon are gone." "What? You mean the real wordless heavenly steel is gone?" The green-robed great emperor's face changed drastically. "Did Lin Wudi secretly take it away?" The bone emperor shook her head. "He doesn't have the ability. He's just 6 crown king. Damn it, bone dragon. How dare you betray me?" The bone emperor roared at the sky. She found that she had made a huge mistake. She had always thought that under her control, her subordinates were loyal and no one dared to betray her. But now, there was an exception. The bone dragon betrayed her and left with the real wordless heavenly steel. She sealed off hell. In an instant, her white bone banner tore through the void and arrived above hell, unleashing an endless amount of white bone flames. The entire area was sealed off. The green-robed great emperor stomped his feet in anger. He didn't care about what happened before, but the disappearance of the wordless heavenly steel made him panic. So he had to hurry up and find it. The souls of the 2 great emperors swept across the land again. The people of hell prostrated themselves on the ground again. Why were the 2 great emperors so angry? Where was Lin Wudi? Was he killed? They didn't know? Outside hell, a 1,000-meter-long bone dragon flew quickly. His dragon claw carried a wordless heavenly steel. Then, he raised his head and laughed proudly. "Ha ha ha ha, stupid bone emperor. I am not your subordinate. I am the 5th dragon general of the Dragon Emperor. I will take the wordless heavenly steel on behalf of the Dragon Emperor." Ha ha ha. He was extremely proud. Then, his huge body disappeared into the darkness. On the other side, Lin Xian appeared in the universe. Then, he turned into a sword light and left quickly. As he left, he tossed the remnant soul away. He was afraid that the Bone Emperor would be able to locate him if he brought it along. So, it would be a disaster if he kept it by his side. Anyway, the wordless heavenly steel was in his hands. After the remnant soul was thrown away, it quickly ran towards the edge of hell. On Lin Xian's side, he flew through the universe and entered the deity land. The deity land was vast. It was above the universe. After entering the deity land, Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. Then, he found a quiet place and went into seclusion. First, he recovered his body. Previously, he had used the power of the sword world many times. This made Lin Xian nervous. It seemed that he had to let the sword world recover properly. Then, she took out the wordless heavenly steel that she had obtained. The 2 wordless heavenly steels shone in the air and intertwined with each other. One of them was releasing a mysterious aura. However, the other one did not seem to have any changes. This made Lin Xian frown slightly. He tried many methods. He even wanted to merge the 2 wordless heavenly steels. When the 2 wordless heavenly steels were close to each other, a crack appeared on the shining wordless heavenly steel. Lin Xian suddenly stood up and frowned. What's going on? Was I cheated? A trace of anger and killing intent appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. The Bone Emperor is really good. Even my Rinnegan can't find out the truth. He did not know that the Bone Emperor was also very angry at this moment. The item was taken away by the 5th Dragon General. At this moment, a bell on Lin Xian's body rang. A message came from it, which made Lin Xian stunned. Chapter 5778. The news came from the Hellfire Dragon. Lin Xian was shocked. He wanted to bring him to hell, but he ran away. However, this guy actually ran away. Who knew where he was now? He picked up the transmission bell and heard the voice coming from it. "Kid, guess who I saw? The 5th Dragon General." Hearing this, Lin Xian was shocked as well. To think that he would meet the 5th Dragon General. "Where is he? Who is he?" he asked. The Hellfire Dragon said, I didn't expect the fifth dragon general to be a bone dragon. I heard he just came out of hell. Lin Xian was shocked. Suddenly, he remembered he saw a bone dragon when he first came to hell. He seemed to be from the White Bone Cave. Previously, when he was attacking the White Bone Cave, he did not see the other party. Could it be that the other party ran away at that time? Lin Xian asked telepathically. After a while, the Hellfire Dragon said, "The fifth dragon general seemed to have done something incredible. I'll check it out for you." The Hellfire Dragon pretended to be the sixth dragon general to deceive the fifth dragon general. Therefore, the fifth dragon general didn't take any precautions. He then told them how he had tricked the wordless heavenly steel. The Hellfire Dragon was shocked after hearing it and immediately told Lin Xian about it. Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes widened. So that's how it is. No wonder the wordless heavenly steel he obtained was fake. He was tricked by the fifth dragon general. The Hellfire Dragon used the sound transmission bell and laughed. "Haha, kid. Are you the one who got tricked?" Lin Xian's face darkened. "You're still talking about it? Get it back." "Kid, do you want me to kill this guy?" Lin Xian said. "No. You steal it back secretly and spread the news that he's the Dragon Emperor's subordinate. He's looking for the Dragon Queen. It's best to spread the news to hell." The Hellfire Dragon was shocked, then laughed. "Kid, you're ruthless. You want to kill the Dragon Queen with the help of the Bone Emperor. Don't worry, leave it to me." Lin Xian held the voice transmission bell and repeatedly urged him to obtain the wordless heavenly steel. Turning off the bell, Lin Xian let out a sigh of relief. Great, the second wordless heavenly steel was found. He believed that the Hellfire Dragon would be fine. As expected, the Hellfire Dragon tricked the wordless heavenly steel away. At the same time, he sent the news to Hell. Not long after, the people of Hell knew about it. Have you heard? It turned out that the bone dragon of the White Bone Cave was actually an expert of the dragon tribe. It was said that he was the fifth dragon general under the Dragon Emperor. Legend has it that he swindled a treasure called the wordless heavenly steel. This Bone Emperor was truly too pitiful. First, his sect was destroyed, and then, the people around him betrayed him. When the news reached the Bone Emperor's ears, he was furious. The fifth dragon general was the Dragon Emperor's man? Damn it, he still dares to look for the Dragon Queen now? Kill. She roared angrily at the sky. A mere Dragon Queen dares to compete with me? On this day, Gu Huang stood in the sky. He formed a seal with his hands and mobilized the entire underworld. The underworld shook. Some of the dead turned into white bones. Their corpses broke out from the ground. The Bone Emperor used the white bone banner to summon an endless forest of white bones. An army of white bones was formed. Then, the army charged out. She wanted to kill her way out of hell and to the deity ground. At this moment, the people of hell were shocked. Some families even joined the army, because they also wanted to set foot on the deity ground. They wanted to see how magical this legendary deity ground was. In an instant, countless people moved. It was a mighty and terrifying scene. The green-robed great emperor's face was cold. He didn't follow them because he didn't know if he could find it. If the news reached the other side, he would be in trouble. So, he had to stay here and get the other wordless heavenly steel. The other one was with Lin Xian. Taking a deep breath, the green-robed great emperor made up his mind. I'll use this treasure. Although it pained him, he had to do it in order to get the other wordless heavenly steel. He took out an item from his storage ring. It was a crystal that emitted a mysterious light. It was hexagonal and was only the size of a fingernail. However, the green-robed great emperor carefully held it in his hand. As a great emperor, he valued it so much. One could imagine how extraordinary this crystal was. The green-robed emperor placed the crystal between his eyebrows and closed his eyes. He began picturing Lin Xian in his mind. In the next moment, Lin Xian's figure appeared in the crystal. At first, it was blurry, but then, it became more and more real. The green-robed great emperor formed a seal with his hands. Endless immortal spells poured into the crystal. Then he said, "Come out." As his voice rang out, the crystal suddenly emitted a mysterious light. A force entered the void and disappeared. In the vast universe, Lin Xian was in a good mood. This time, He had successfully stopped the Otherworld Heavenly King and explored the ninth underworld. He had completed the mission his father gave him. Lin Xian was also preparing to return to the deity ground. Suddenly, a ray of light flashed across the dark universe. Then, the world around him collapsed. It was terrifying. A mysterious aura shrouded him. Damn it! What's this? Lin Xian roared. Before he could react, the aura took him away. In the next moment, Lin Xian roared to the sky. The great dragon sword soul in his body released a terrifying sword chi that split the void. His expression was cold as he probed. This wasn't the universe, but hell. The surrounding aura was cold and gloomy. There were mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Only hell would have such a scene. Didn't he leave? Why did he come back? Damn it. Could it be that mysterious light? What was that? Hee hee, kid. Welcome back. A cold voice came from afar. Lin Xian's hair stood on end. Lin Xian looked up. His pupils constricted. It was the green-robed Great Emperor. He saw the green-robed Great Emperor standing not far from him. The green-robed Great Emperor was looking at him with a cold smile. You're the one behind this. Lin Xian's face darkened. Needless to say, it was the Great Emperor's doing. The crystal between the green-robed Great Emperor's eyebrows cracked open. The green-robed Great Emperor snorted. That's right. In order to find you, I wasted a precious treasure, but I won't let you escape. He waved his hand and sealed the entire world. This time, you won't be able to escape. Also, there's no Wanpong King to help you. There's only the two of us. Damn it, Lin Xian roared. He wanted to leave, but the green-robed Great Emperor stopped him. Lin Xian roared to the sky. Where's Mingdi? The green-robed Great Emperor smiled. It's useless. Bone King brought people to the deity ground. Mingdi is there too. No one can help you now. You can die in peace. The green-robed Great Emperor was very excited. This was his best chance to kill Lin Xian. Lin Xian's face darkened. No one can help me? Then he could only fight with his back against the wall. Thinking of this, he took out the devouring heaven jar and the great dragon sword. He was facing a great enemy. After all, the person in front of him was a true great emperor. The great dragon sword spirit and the devouring heaven jar were really treasures. But how much of their power could you use? The green-robed great emperor sneered and suddenly attacked. Chapter 5779. Lin Xian roared angrily. The heaven-devouring jar blocked the attack, creating an endless black vortex. With a loud explosion, he was forced back. His blood boiled, and he spat out a mouthful of blood. The green-robed Great Emperor laughed loudly. Useless brat. So what if you fully recovered and have an extreme weapon? You're still no match for me. I'll let you experience the might of a true Great Emperor. Immortal chi surrounded his body, and he slammed his palm over again. Lin Xian roared. I've recovered. The great dragon sword slashed over. With a clang, his arm went numb. Too powerful. As expected of a true great emperor. Even if he only had half his body, he was still no match for him. However, it wouldn't be easy for his opponent to kill him. After all, he had many trump cards. Even so, he was still under great pressure. In just a few moves, he was injured. However, in the eyes of others, Lin Xian was already very heaven-defying. A mere 6-crown king dared to fight against a great emperor, and he couldn't even be killed. This was something that had never been heard of before. Since ancient times, who could be so heaven-defying? Brat, stop resisting. The difference between us is like the gap between heaven and earth. Fighting against me is like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. The green-robed great emperor said coldly. At the same time, his claws slashed over, and the void shattered. His power completely enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian roared. He used the great dragon sword to open a crack and ran out. Cold sweat dripped from his forehead. At the same time, he stared ahead. Do you really think that I can't fight against you? I originally thought that I wouldn't be able to use the methods I prepared. I didn't expect that you would capture me again. Since that's the case, I'll let you have a taste of the pain from back then. Stupid thing. The green-robed great emperor sneered. He didn't understand what Lin Xian meant, but soon his expression sank. That was because he discovered that boundless demonic qi had appeared on Lin Xian's body. Behind him, a demonic shadow appeared. The moment that demonic shadow appeared, it roared towards the sky. A terrifying aura swept across the area. The green-robed Emperor Lord's body began to tremble. He had sensed the demonic figure's aura before. Moreover, he was incomparably familiar with the Devil Emperor's power. Damn brat, you actually have a relationship with the Demon Emperor. I won't let you off. The green-robed Great Emperor roared madly. Previously, he thought that Lin Xian was just a new enmity between him and Lin Xian. He didn't expect that there was still an old grudge between them. He swore that he would use the cruelest methods to torture the other party to death. After the demonic figure appeared, he stepped into the sky and stood above the 9 heavens, looking down at the green-robed land. Clearly, he had not expected to encounter Green Robe here. As for Lin Xian, he waved his heaven-devouring jar. He had absorbed a lot of energy from the mountain of corpses and sea of blood from the Yellow Spring sect and the White Bone Cavern. At this moment, he was channeling all of it into the demonic shadow. He said, "Let's do it. After this battle, we will be fine." The demonic figure roared at the sky. It grabbed the sea of corpses with one hand and began to absorb this energy. Die! The green-robed Great Emperor roared. He wouldn't give the other party a chance. He quickly rushed over. However, the demonic figure's methods were extremely strange. In an instant, he devoured the energy. In the next moment, his body began to expand. Boom! The demon god fist blasted out. It pierced through heaven and earth and collided with the green-robed Great Emperor. An earth-shattering sound was heard. Lin Xian used the sky-devouring jar to defend himself, but he was still forced back. How terrifying! This demonic figure is too terrifying. The green-robed Great Emperor's face was even uglier. It's just a shadow. It's not like the real Demon Emperor has awakened. I'll kill you first, then capture this brat. I'll make you disappear from this world forever. The green-robed Great Emperor attacked wildly. The battle between the two was extremely terrifying. The 9 heavens and 10 lands were collapsing. The people of hell were frightened and knelt on the ground. Who is it? Is another Great Emperor fighting? Oh heavens! Is this demonic aura a new Great Emperor? They were all crazy. The demonic figure was very strong, but it didn't take long for his aura to drop. It was obvious that he didn't have any more energy. Lin Xian's face fell when he saw this. He used his Rinnegan and looked at hell. Then he said, "There are a lot of spirit veins in the west. In the south, there are many terrifying palaces. They should be ancient ruins." Lin Xian told the demonic figure some places with the power of heaven and earth. At the same time, he took out the great spear of destruction and threw it into the void. "This is for you." The demonic figure took the great spear of destruction and roared. He sent the green-robed Great Emperor flying with one strike. The green-robed Great Emperor's face was cold. A cloak appeared behind him. The cloak was very mysterious. As soon as it appeared, it released an extreme aura. This was his extreme Dao weapon. Not everyone knew that weapons were all used for offense. The green-robed Great Emperor's cloak was clearly used for defense and support. Next, the great spear of destruction hit the cloak, making earth-shattering sounds. However, it could no longer tear through the defense. "It's useless." I said, "You're just a shadow. Although I only have half a body, I have a complete tacit understanding. What do you have to fight with me?" The green-robed Great Emperor's expression was ferocious. Lin Xian's face was very ugly. "Can I do that? Damn it, take the sky-swallowing jar." He threw the sky-swallowing jar to the demonic figure. After the demonic figure took it, he quickly slapped the green-robed Great Emperor with the sky-swallowing jar again. "Damn kid, I'll kill you." The green-robed Great Emperor stared at Lin Xian and attacked crazily. He slapped out 3 palm shadows in a row, shattering the mountains and rivers below. Lin Xian hurriedly entered the sword world. The sword world shook, and Lin Xian's blood was boiling. His face was ugly. This great emperor's power is too terrifying. Below, under this attack, countless families and sects were destroyed. The others fled. The battle between the two great emperors was enough to destroy everything. Is he dead? The green-robed great emperor was very confident in his attack. Now that Lin Xian didn't have the sky-swallowing jar, he would definitely die. Damn frog, you've angered me. Lin Xian walked out of the sword world. His face was pale, and he gritted his teeth. He's still alive. The green-robed great emperor frowned. How is this possible? Without the protection of an extreme weapon, how did this kid survive? What other trump cards does this kid have? He felt that he was going crazy. Since when was 6 Crown Kings so difficult to kill? Damn it. He still wanted to attack, but the demonic figure in the distance had already rushed over. This demonic figure had devoured too much energy. Coupled with the sky-swallowing jar, it was really terrifying. Therefore, the green-robed great emperor didn't dare to be distracted. As for Lin Xian, he swallowed a drop of the divine spring of life to recover his strength. Then, he held the great dragon's sword with both hands, and the light of reincarnation bloomed in his eyes. He wanted to find an opportunity. After about 10 moves, Lin Xian found an opportunity and slashed out with the great dragon sword. Boom! The battle ahead was extremely terrifying. The green-robed great emperor used his battle robe to block the power of the sky-swallowing jar. However, at this time, a flaw appeared in his other body. This flaw couldn't be grasped by the demonic figure, but Lin Xian did. Lin Xian roared to the sky. He injected the power of the sword world into the great dragon sword spirit. The great dragon sword spirit suddenly exploded. He slashed out. Chapter 5780. This sword strike seemed to transform into a divine dragon, shattering heaven and earth. Countless powerhouses of hell prostrated under this sword strike. They were terrified. What kind of sword was this? It was too terrifying. The green-robed great emperor also felt it. His expression changed drastically. Damn brat, you dare? He really didn't expect that Lin Xian would actually dare to take the initiative to attack him. In a hurry, he tried to block it. However, this sword strike was carefully prepared by Lin Quan. He couldn't completely block it. This sword strike left a wound on his body, although it was not big. It wasn't big, but it was already shocking. With the strength of 6 Crown King, Lin Xian injured a great emperor despite the difference in cultivation realms. This was enough to be remembered in the legends. Damn it, I'm going to kill you and destroy your heart and soul. The green-robed great emperor roared crazily. Like a madman, he charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian quickly dodged the attacks. His speed was extremely fast, and the demonic shadow behind him continued to chase after him. Finally, he stopped the green-robed great emperor again. Lin Xian heaved a sigh of relief. He hid in the dark and continued to accumulate strength. Finally, he seized a second opportunity and slashed another crack on the green-robed great emperor's body. The green-robed great emperor was so angry that he vomited blood. A mere 6 Crown King was actually so arrogant. Extremely terrifying immortal energy flew out of his eyes. Lin Xian raised his sword to block, but he was still forced back and vomited large mouthfuls of blood. His body was pierced through. It was abnormally terrifying. Damn it! Lin Xian gritted his teeth. He took out a portion of power from the sword world and gave it to the demonic shadow. After the demonic shadow obtained the power, his strength erupted again. It was as if he had really revived from the ancient era. 3 punches sent the green-robed great emperor flying. This time, the green-robed great emperor was injured again. He was injured by the demonic shadow. A demonic zither appeared in the demonic shadow's hand. The demonic tune destroyed heaven and earth. Damn it, this lunatic. Lin Xian's expression changed drastically. He quickly turned around and left. He used his speed to the extreme, but it was still not enough. In the end, he entered Sword World. The people outside were in a miserable state. No one could stop them. At this moment, the people in the underworld palace below were constantly being shattered. They were all turned into a bloody mist. The demonic song could destroy the heavens and earth. It was an indiscriminate attack that shattered the entire world. The green-robed emperor was the first to bear the brunt of it. He gritted his teeth and tried to defend himself, but he was still enveloped by the destructive power. After the attack, the people at the edge of hell looked up at the sky in horror. What happened there? It was like the end of the world. Some people could sense that a sea of blood had long since filled the area. Most likely, millions upon millions of living beings had been destroyed and sent into reincarnation. When Lin Xian came out of the sword world, he was also stunned. This was a demon shadow. The attack it caused was too terrifying, causing his scalp to go numb. It wasn't because of the other party's strength, but because of the other party's heartlessness. For a battle between characters of this level, they should go to the 9 heavens and not destroy this hell. However, the demonic shadow did not care at all. Who cares who you are? As long as it was within the range of its attack, it would be destroyed. If Lin Xian was not able to enter the sword world, he would probably be shattered by this destructive power. This made his face turn terrifyingly dark. Only now did he remember why Shen Jingqiu said that the other party was a lunatic and warned him not to interact with the demonic shadow. Because this demonic shadow was really a lunatic. Under the destructive power, millions of living beings were turned into ashes. The demonic shadow's light dimmed. It stood there, looking down on the world. With a ruthless power, a black hole appeared on the opposite side. The green-robed emperor's figure appeared. There were several wounds on his body, and more importantly, his immortal chi had dimmed. He gritted his teeth. "Damn it! You dare to injure me." The demon shadow snorted coldly. An extremely terrifying light erupted from its eyes. It grabbed down with its big hand, grabbing all the spiritual veins and the power of heaven and earth. Then, a huge array formation formed under its feet and began to absorb. The heaven-swallowing jar swallowed the heavens and earth, as if it wanted to swallow the entire hell. The green-robed emperor cursed. "Lunatic." He turned to leave. He had interacted with MOD before and naturally knew what kind of person MOD was, even though this was a demonic shadow. Although he was a demonic shadow, he was too similar to the demon emperor. He attacked ruthlessly, regardless of everything, only for his purpose. Therefore, he was not confident that he could continue fighting. After all, with the heaven-swallowing jar in hand, it would not be easy for him to kill the other party. He could only say, "Just you wait." Then, he glared at Lin Xian fiercely, turned around, and fled. The demonic shadow roared and swallowed a lot of hell's power. Then, it charged out. The green-robed emperor was angry. "Damn it, do you really think I'm easy to bully?" He attacked crazily. The demonic shadow sneered. Demonic song, destroy heaven and earth. After 2 consecutive attacks, the green-robed emperor was directly sent flying. Below, mountains and rivers were shattered. "Damn it, lunatic." The green-robed emperor roared angrily, tore open the void, and fled. Was it over just like that? Lin Xian saw this scene and took a deep breath. But he found that it was not over. The demonic shadow chased after him again. The two disappeared into the universe. "Damn it! You gave me the heaven-swallowing crown." Lin Xian also chased after him. If he had known that the demonic shadow was so strange, he would not have lent him the heaven-swallowing jar. However, when his life was in danger, Lin Xian had no choice. Otherwise, he would not have been able to resist the green-robed emperor. Lin Xian also disappeared. Hell quieted down, but the people of hell were terrified and desperate. Had such an existence finally left? It was too terrifying. Although they didn't provoke the other party, just the aura of the other party was enough to destroy countless people. In the vast universe, 2 figures were chasing each other. When Lin Xian came out, he could no longer find the 2 of them. They were too fast. Lin Xian could only rely on the demonic aura left behind to search. Fortunately, he had cultivated the illusory demon scripture, so he could sense the presence of the demonic shadow. Just like that, Lin Xian chased after him. This battle was earth-shattering, but it caused countless destruction. During this time, the demonic shadow caught up with the green-robed emperor and fought again. The nearby 30 worlds were reduced to ashes. Those planets were all cracked. They were all shattered by the demonic song. When Lin Xian chased after him and saw the shattered planets, his body trembled slightly. What is this? Just a demonic shadow was already so ruthless. How terrifying would the Devil Emperor be? 30 planets were surrounded by a sea of blood. Lin Xian sighed. He built the 6 paths of reincarnation to send these people away. Reincarnation. Next, he continued on his way. Along the way, he saw hundreds of shattered planets. They were all destroyed by the battle between the Demon Emperor and the Green-Robed Emperor. Most of them were done by the Demon Emperor. MOD chased after him. Lin Xian even found that the power of 20 planets had been sucked dry by MOD using the Heaven-Devouring Jar. Those 2 planets were extremely withered, without a trace of life. Lin Xian stopped. He did not continue the chase, but stood in the void. To be honest, there was a trace of fear in his eyes. He had been fearless all this time, but he had never seen someone as terrifying as the Demon Emperor. There was something wrong with the demonic shadow, and so was the demon transformation scripture. Lin Xian could not cultivate anymore. He activated the great dragon sword in his body and began to destroy the illusory demon scripture. Chapter 5781. The demon's summoning scripture kept running, and endless demonic energy appeared, trying to shroud Lin Xian. Lin Xian snorted coldly. The dragon scale blade grew out of his body and merged with the great dragon sword soul. He became one with the sword and slashed. The demonic energy filled the air, and the black tiger rolled. With the sound of ice melting, the great dragon sword was extremely sharp and began to gradually destroy the demonic energy. Lin Xian not only destroyed the demonic energy, but also destroyed the demon summoning scripture. He wanted to be completely separated from the demon summoning scripture. This process was very slow. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. During these 3 months, the people in the universe were extremely frightened. They discovered that another shocking battle was taking place. Immortal energy and moist energy were fighting, and extreme weapons were colliding. Were the 2 great emperors fighting? They were all crazy. The 2 people fighting were naturally the demonic shadow and the green-robed great emperor. The 2 fought for 3 months and destroyed many planets. The more the demonic shadow fought, the stronger he became. He had the sky-swallowing jar, which could swallow the power of those planets and turn it into his own. The green-robed great emperor was gradually suppressed. He was going crazy. Is this demonic shadow going to revive? He shouted angrily, "You are not a shadow. You are the demon emperor. You want to be reborn with the help of the demon summoning scripture. You are too crazy." The green-robed great emperor's face turned ugly. He was a little scared. A dead person still wants to come back to life. What kind of method is this? The demonic shadow had already let out a cold laugh, which made people's hair stand on end. Green-robed great emperor, I will not die. Even if I have to reincarnate 100 times, I can still be reborn. You will be the first great emperor I kill after my rebirth. The demonic shadow's voice made the green-robed great emperor's scalp tingle. He shouted angrily, turned his head, and flew toward the other side in the sky. He wanted to go back. This guy was too terrifying. He wanted to report to his ancestors that the demon emperor was not dead. The demon emperor was very terrifying and difficult to deal with back then. It was even said that the other party was extremely terrifying. Now, the other party wanted to come back to life. It was simply earth-shattering news. He couldn't stop it, so he must quickly report it to his lord, and let his lord use his supreme power to kill the other party. The demonic shadow sneered. While chasing, he absorbed the power of the universe. However, at this moment, his brows were tightly knitted together. He looked into the distance. Did he want to destroy the illusion demon scripture? Damn it, Green Robe, I'll let you live a little longer. The demonic shadow didn't give chase. Instead, he turned back to search for Lin Xian. He swept through the sky with rolling demonic clouds. Finally, he found Lin Xian. In the next moment, he descended. The void around Lin Xian crumbled. Lin Xian also stood up. At this moment, Lin Xian seemed to have transformed into a peerless sword god. The sword in his hand was incomparably sharp. Most of the demonic qi in the surroundings had already been destroyed by him. What are you trying to do? Lin Xian looked at the demonic shadow and said coldly. That demonic shadow laughed coldly. What do you want? How dare you destroy the phantasmal demon crystal? Lin Xian's pupils dilated as he said, this guy can already speak. This guy can't be the real demon emperor, right? What is your relationship with the devil emperor? I am the devil emperor. The demonic shadow said coldly. Lin Xian's face turned ugly. Could it be that the demon scripture can really exchange for a demon? And this demon was the demon emperor. Wasn't this demon emperor already dead? It was incredible that he could still come back to life through the inheritance of a cultivation technique. Fortunately, Lin Xian had started destroying the phantasmal demon crystals a few months ago. Kid, don't worry, I won't kill you. I think you're very good. When you become a great emperor in the future, you'll definitely be a powerhouse. How about this? You don't destroy the illusion demon scripture and continue to cultivate it. When the time comes, we'll rule the world. With your trump card and the supernatural power I created, no one will be a match for you. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian frowned tightly. No, you can create a supernatural power, so can I. What I created is called the heaven-defying technique. I won't cultivate your illusion demon scripture. You don't have to persuade me. I have the great dragon sword soul, and I won't be affected by you. Hee hee, as expected of the dragon sword's successor, your will is indeed firm. However, you're just 6 crown king. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill you now? You have a lot of treasures on you. Hearing this, Lin Xian felt as if he was facing a great enemy. He gripped the immortal slaying sword tightly, and the power of the great dragon sword soul completely erupted. In that case, I don't mind fighting to the death. The demonic shadow looked at Lin Xian and didn't make a move. In the end, he nodded. You're really arrogant. You're the first one to be so arrogant in front of me. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me back my great destruction and the heaven-swallowing jar. This heaven-swallowing jar is very useful. I just recovered and need an extreme weapon to protect me. Why don't you give it to me? The demonic shadow's voice sounded. Lin Xian was instantly enraged. He opened Sword World and urged the great dragon sword soul and the immortal slaying sword to slash out. The immortal slaying sword was sharp and the great dragon sword soul was invincible. The two worked together and slashed forward. The demonic shadow's figure flickered and dodged this attack. However, the entire universe seemed to be split in half. The demonic shadow's face sank. You dare to attack me? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Why wouldn't I dare? Whether it's Green Robe or you, I dare to contend against them. No one can block my Tao, and no one can snatch things from my hands and return them to me. The demonic shadow's eyes bloomed with an extremely terrifying light. But suddenly, he seemed to sense a mysterious aura on Lin Xian's body. He exclaimed in surprise, how familiar! What an ancient aura! It seems that you're not simple. Are you the chosen one? Interesting. Things were getting more and more interesting. He laughed loudly. Lin Xian's face was cold. He took out the jade pendant that Shen Qingqiu had given him. When the demonic shadow saw the jade pendant, his laughter stopped. You have this thing too. Well, I'll give her face. I won't attack you. He waved his hand and threw the sky-swallowing jar over. I'll give it back to you. However, give this great spear of destruction to me. You have many weapons and don't need this weapon. How about giving it to me? Lin Xian thought for a moment and nodded. Okay, but I have to destroy the illusion demon scripture. Is that okay with you? I've already done it. You don't have to destroy it. I'll take it back. With a wave of his hand, all the demonic energy on Lin Xian's body disappeared and then poured into the demonic shadow's body. The demonic shadow roared to the sky. The demonic energy on his body surged and formed a demonic armor. In the next moment, he seemed to be a real creature. Lin Xian, right? One day, we'll meet again. I hope that by then, you'll have become a great emperor. Otherwise, I'll still attack you. After saying that, the demonic shadow turned and left. Lin Xian took back the sky-swallowing jar and his face darkened. Did he leave? To be honest, he did feel like he was facing a great enemy just now. This demonic shadow was indeed terrifying. No, he should be calling him the Demon Emperor now. He didn't know if the Demon Emperor's resurrection was good or bad. At this moment, there was a rumbling sound in Lin Xian's body. Was he going to break through? Lin Xian was surprised. The illusion demon scripture had completely disappeared. Lin Xian was now cultivating the heaven-defying art. He felt relaxed all over. He was about to break through and become the seven-crown king. With a roar, Lin Xian turned around and entered the sword world to break through. Chapter 5782. A month later, Lin Xian walked out of the sword world. His eyes were bright as he unleashed his power. He looked up and roared, "This is great!" He had broken through and become the seven-crown king. He was one step closer to becoming a great emperor. Furthermore, Lin Xian had decided that he would become the 10-crown king too. After witnessing how terrifying the 10,000 Rock King was, Lin Xian became a great emperor. Lin Xian knew that the 10-crown king was a very magical realm. Only a few people could enter it. Those great emperors didn't even have the chance to become the 10-crown king. However, Lin Xian wanted to make it his goal. He knew that once he became the 10-crown king and then a great emperor, his power would be terrifying to the extreme. He wondered how the deity ground was doing. Were Qingcheng and Ruyu doing well? Lin Xian had stayed in hell for a long time. He decided to return to the path of immortality. Lin Xian flew into the sky with a pair of sword chi wings on his back and disappeared. When Lin Xian arrived at the deity ground, he sensed a strange aura. The atmosphere of the deity ground seemed to be many times more tense than before. Moreover, the people he interacted with seemed to be terrified. Lin Xian found a few people and asked. He found that the deity ground was different from when he first arrived. There were many battles, especially the battles in the last few months. They were even more shocking. An old man said to Lin Xian, "Young man, you just came to the deity ground, right? I'm afraid you don't know. A few months ago, a group of skeletons came from the 9 underworlds and came to the path of immortality. They had an extremely terrifying aura of death, especially the leader, the pink skeleton. He had the power of a great emperor. As soon as he appeared, he suppressed the world. Countless people prostrated. The surrounding clans and sects of the deity ground all came to worship him. The pink skeleton was called the Bone Emperor. After she arrived, she immediately searched for the dragon tribe. In the end, she found clues and went to the depths of the deity ground. Not long after, a battle broke out in the depths of the deity ground. There was the aura of a great emperor and the power of an extreme weapon. But what happened? No one knew. Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The Bone Emperor must have gone to seek revenge from the Dragon Queen. After all, a great emperor had been tricked by a bone dragon. Naturally, he would be displeased. He asked, "Senior, is there anything else?" The elder said, "Yes. Besides this army of skeletons, there are also a few great emperors. Everyone is going crazy." Some speculated that the martial monarchs had woken up from their slumber in ancient times. Furthermore, it was very likely that it had something to do with the Earth region. The reason for that was because the auras on their bodies were simply too terrifying. Apart from the white bones, there was also a person surrounded by imperial power, who also had the aura of the earth. Apart from them, there was another person whose aura was extremely cold and gloomy. Lin Xian guessed that these two people should be the Yellow Springs Great Emperor and Ming Di. Previously, the three of them had been fighting in the Earth domain. However, because of his arrival, the Earth domain had changed. The two great emperors of the Yellow Springs sect and the White Bone Cave had nothing to worry about. They went to the deity ground to find more powerful forces. At this time, another middle-aged man said, "Besides these great emperors, there are some other shocking changes. I heard that a huge frog covered in blood came from the universe to the path of immortality. At that time, some people thought that it was a strange beast of heaven and earth and went to take a look. However, A drop of blood dripped from the frog. Millions of stars were crushed, and endless mountains and rivers were shattered. Those who were heading forward were suppressed and turned into a bloody mist. Yun Luor. The others didn't dare to go there anymore. It was said that the place where the blood dripped had already become a land of death. Lin Xian was surprised. This should be the green-robed Great Emperor. He was injured in the battle with the Demon Emperor. This Demon Emperor was really terrifying. He asked, "Did any demon clan members come?" "Yes," the middle-aged man said. "But who exactly?" "I don't know." He only saw a mass of demonic clouds flying quickly. Wherever it passed, everything was destroyed. Sure enough, they all came. Lin Xian said to them, "Thank you, everyone." He flew into the distance. Lin Xian first looked for Morong Qingqing, Yin Ruyu, and the others. At the same time, he also wanted to go deep into the deity ground and tell his father the news of his success. However, the aura in the depths of the deity ground had become even more terrifying. It was most likely because a few of the martial monarchs had gone inside. Therefore, Lin Xian couldn't go in for the time being. He could only find Morong Qingqing and the others. "Brother Xian, you're back." Morong Qingqing, Yin Ruyu, Crimson Dragon, and the others all breathed a sigh of relief when they saw Lin Xian return. Several great emperors came with murderous intent, which made me very worried. Yin Ruyu's little face was a little pale. Lin Xian said, "They are all great emperors of hell who woke up hundreds of thousands of years ago. But don't worry, they are not here for me." Hearing this, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then, Lin Xian lived a leisurely life. Morong Qingqing and Yin Ruyu accompanied him by his side. His days were very happy. A month passed just like that. After Lin Xian broke through, his cultivation level gradually stabilized. During this month, it was said that a great battle had broken out in the depths of the immortal path. There was even one time when Lin Xian and the others felt a monstrous aura from afar. As expected of a great emperor, he was indeed terrifying. Lin Xian frowned. He said, "We can't go deep into the deity ground for now, but I have to spread the news. Ruzalong, send people from the Divine Union to spread the news that Bayan is in hell and that the operation has failed. The wider the better." Ruzalong said, "Leave it to me." The toad also set off. Not long after, the deity ground began to talk about the earth domain. "Have you heard? The great emperors of hell went there because of the childless sky steel. Legend has it that it was left behind by an ancient powerhouse of hell. It's very mysterious. I also heard that our ancestor is on the Bayan. He also sent powerhouses there, but they failed." "What? No way. How is that possible?" someone said. "It's said that he's called the green-robed Great Emperor. He's the half-frog that appeared not long ago. If it's really the half-frog, then it's true. I saw him come back covered in blood. A drop of the Great Emperor's blood crushed millions of mountains and rivers. Those who watched back then all died." Countless people discussed, and the news spread further and further. In the end, it reached the depths of the deity ground. The green-robed Great Emperor was recuperating somewhere in the depths of the deity ground. This was because he knew that Emoing had also come to the immortal path. He didn't want to meet him. However, when he heard the news of his failure, he was furious. He was furious. Damn it, someone was framing them. If this news were to spread to the other side and to the Lord's ears, he would be dead meat. One had to know that he hadn't done well in the past and had been blamed by the master. Now, he was trying to atone for his sins. With a sinful body, if he failed again, his fate could be imagined. Damn it, who was it? The green-robed Great Emperor thought about it and realized that it couldn't be those emperors. It was that kid. He thought of Lin Xian and gritted his teeth. That damned little thing. How dare an ant try to harm me like this? The green-robed Great Emperor was furious. Although his injuries hadn't fully healed, he couldn't care less. He immediately set off for the border of the deity ground, ready to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 5783. Through his investigation, he discovered that the demonic figure had already arrived in the depths of the deity ground. However, he wasn't with Lin Xian. This was a good opportunity to kill Lin Xian. If Xiao Chen killed Lin Xian, firstly, he could take revenge. Secondly, he could obtain a wordless heavenly steel. This way, he would be able to explain himself to his master. It was killing two birds with one stone. How could the green-robed great emperor miss this opportunity? He concealed his aura and moved quickly. The great emperor's spirit shrouded the area. Before long, he discovered Lin Xian's tracks. Little thing, let's see how you're going to die this time. The green-robed great emperor sneered and rushed over. Lin Xian was originally with Qingqing and the others. He was even prepared to rest. However, at this moment, Lin Xian's eyelids twitched violently. The reincarnation eye bloomed with a biting cold radiance. Qingqing was shocked. What's wrong, Brother Xian? Lin Xian's expression was solemn. He walked out of the hall and looked up at the sky. The next moment, his expression changed drastically. Not good. His reincarnation eye pierced through the sky. He seemed to feel a boundless pressure pressing down on him. It even crushed the 6 paths of reincarnation. This power wasn't something a quasi-emperor could produce. It was a great emperor. It was the spirit of a great emperor. It was probing him. Only the green-robed great emperor would have such a strong, murderous intent towards him. The other party was here. He had to leave quickly. Lin Xian tore open the void and wanted to leave. However, at this moment, a cold voice came from the void. Little ant, can you still leave? Boom. The power of a great emperor erupted instantly. The forests and mountains below were shattered, and the hall turned into ashes. The people of the Divine Union were alarmed. Many people instantly knelt on the ground, their bodies trembling. What was this? Murong Qingqing's expression changed drastically. A great emperor was attacking. Yin Ruyu, Crimson Dragon, Hua Bai, and Susu all turned pale. Although they were strong now, they couldn't fight back against a great emperor. Lin Xian shouted angrily. He took out the heaven-devouring jar and covered the sky. A huge black vortex blocked the attack. At the same time, he said, Ruyu, Qingqing, use your extreme weapons. The ancient desolate pagoda and the green lotus were also taken out. They blossomed between heaven and earth, and the 3 extreme weapons clashed against each other. The great emperor's attack shattered heaven and earth. The entire immortal soul realm shook violently. At this moment, countless experts within the immortal soul jade prostrated themselves on the ground. Some people were instantly torn to pieces by the residual power of this power. So terrifying, what happened? Was it the aura of a great emperor? Did a great emperor descend upon the immortal soul domain? That's impossible. Even though the immortal soul jade wasn't at the edge, it wasn't in the depths of the immortal land either. Why would a grand emperor be here? They didn't understand, but it really happened. After one strike, the green-robed great emperor was blocked. His face sank. When he sensed that there were 3 extreme-grade weapons, his eyelids twitched. Little ant, you're incredible. You actually have 3 extreme weapons. However, I've really struck it rich. If I kill you all your extreme weapons will be mine. In an instant, he took out his own extreme weapon. It was a battle cloak. Although it was used for defensive purposes, it was able to enhance the Emperor Lord's strength and make him even more terrifying. Immortal chi surrounded his body, releasing the most brilliant aura. At this moment, the entire immortal soul realm was illuminated as if it was daytime. The light even made many boundary emperors close their eyes. They couldn't look directly at it. It was too powerful. Murong Qingqing's face was pale. Yin Ruyu also took a deep breath. During this period, they had all had fortuitous encounters and became stronger than before. Even the veteran quasi-emperors were not a match for them. Furthermore, these quasi-emperors wielded peak-grade weapons. They didn't think much of the boundary emperors. But now, facing the half-frog, they were desperate. This was the great emperor. That half of his body was enough to make them tremble. One had to know that they had 3 extreme-grade weapons in their hands. If they didn't, they would have died long ago. Lin Xian's face was also ugly. Damn it, this half-frog is too despicable. He gritted his teeth and prepared to revive in the group and fight with his life on the line. Useless little thing, you seem to have used too many extreme-grade weapons before. I don't believe that you still have enough power. Even if you can fully revive, how long can you last? 1 month, 2 months, 1 year, or 2 years? As a true Great Emperor, the attacks I unleash at any time are all top-tier attacks. Will you be able to withstand it? The green-robed Great Emperor sneered. This time, no matter how long it took, he would kill the other party. Damn it, this is too much. The Crimson Dragon roared. The toad also gritted its teeth. Damn it, the Empress isn't here. Otherwise, I would have killed you with one slap. The green-robed Great Emperor stared at the toad. Seeing that you are of the same kind, I didn't want to kill you. However, since you are related to that snake, I can't let you live. When I catch you later, I will pull out your tendons and skin you, so that you will never be reincarnated. The green-robed Great Emperor was very proud. He raised his palm high, and the immortal chi on it suddenly burst out. He launched a peerless immortal technique and slammed it down. It's over. Some powerhouses sighed. They had already retreated to a place far away. They knew that Lin Xian and the others were dead. It was too stupid to offend a great emperor. At the most critical moment, the sky suddenly broke open, and an eternal light cut through the world. The green-robed Great Emperor's attack was blocked. He even looked up at the sky in horror. What is that? He retreated. Lin Xian and the others originally wanted to revive their extreme-grade weapons. However, all of a sudden, they were stunned. The reason for that was because they discovered that the light was simply too terrifying. It was even brighter than the immortal light. The immortal chi on the green-robed Great Emperor was dimmed. What was that? The people of the immortal Soul Jade were terrified. Is another Great Emperor coming? The Crimson Dragon was also happy. Little Zhao, is it your father or that drunkard? Lin Xian was also tempted. Perhaps it was really his father or Lord Alcohol. However, judging from the aura, it didn't seem like it. The eternal light spun in the air and turned into a vortex. It was like the Milky Way, flashing nonstop. Then, 2 figures walked out. As soon as these 2 figures appeared, their terrifying power crushed the 9 heavens and the earth. This aura was really that of a great emperor. However, Lin Xian realized that it wasn't his father or Lord Alcohol. It wasn't even anyone he knew. These were 2 new great emperors. Have they come? Are they from the Paramitha realm? Because Lin Xian knew that the Paramitha realm had the most great emperors. There were also great emperors in other places. However, they had all awakened from an ancient slumber. Moreover, there weren't many who had joined forces. If it was really the 2 great emperors from the Paramitha realm, then this was really a hopeless situation. In the sky, 2 figures stood there like gods. The eternal light on their bodies slowly disappeared. The 2 figures looked down. Their gazes were vast like divine lamps, covering the mountains and rivers below. Are they back? One of them, a middle-aged man, whispered to himself. As his voice sounded, everyone's soul trembled. I wonder if there's a mistake in the timing? The other old man also spoke. In the next moment, his soul covered the sky and earth, covering all directions. I can feel the aura of several great emperors. Looks like we've come to the right place. Chapter 5784. Huh. There was a great emperor here. Suddenly, the 2 of them stared at the green-robed great emperor not far away, and their eyes lit up. The green-robed great emperor was terrified. He only had half of his body, and there were 2 of them, so he was ready to run away at any time. Who are you? The green-robed great emperor shouted coldly. He had never seen these 2 great emperors before. A little frog dares to be arrogant in front of us, not to mention that you only have half of your body. The middle-aged man looked disdainful. You're courting death. The green-robed great emperor was instantly enraged, and his immortal chi burst out. Immortal technique, green field immortal trace. Countless green lights burst out from him, covering the sky and earth, and each of them was peerless killing intent. Divine power, clear sky hammer. The middle-aged man raised his right hand high, turned it into a warhammer, and fell down. The entire void was penetrated, and the green-robed immortal trace was sent flying. This hammer penetrated heaven and earth, and arrived in front of the green-robed great emperor, and sent him flying. The great emperor's blood dripped again, penetrating the immortal soul realm. The immortal soul realm was torn apart and shattered. Although the great emperor would recover with the magical power of the deity ground, those sects and families above the great emperor would not be reborn, and they all fell in this drop of blood. So powerful! The crimson dragon exclaimed. He injured that frog with one move. Let him be arrogant again. The toad also jumped up with joy. Lin Xian gasped. He had fought with the green-robed great emperor before, so he naturally knew how terrifying the other party was. Even if he held an extreme weapon, he couldn't hurt the other party. But now, the middle-aged man injured the other party with just a raise of his hand. This great emperor's strength was a little too terrifying. Damn it! The green-robed great emperor roared crazily. Who are you? Suddenly, he sensed the aura emitted from the eternal light. He exclaimed, This is the aura of time. This is the power of time. You came out of the torrent of time. Could it be that you are? He was really too shocked. He recalled some ancient legends. Lin Xian and the others were even more shocked after hearing this. The torrent of time? What time? The power of time? Lin Xian carefully sensed it and indeed found that there was indeed the aura of time. He had once had 2 hourglasses of time, so the feeling was very similar. Were these 2 people from the past, or were they from the future? He wasn't too sure, but these 2 people were too mysterious. Little frog, you have no right to question us. The 2 figures ignored the martial monarch in a green robe. They were staring deep into the deity ground. I can sense the aura of the azure. It seems like there are already people attacking the azure. Let's go and take a look. The 2 figures communicated with each other. Then, they tore apart the void and disappeared. The aura of the great emperor lingered in the 9 heavens for a long time, but it didn't disappear. Lin Xian's expression changed. Wasn't the upper heavens the place where his father, Lord Jiao, and the others fought? Were these 2 people friends or foes? He wanted to send a message, but it was too late. The emperor's speed was too fast. At this moment, the martial monarch in a green robe charged again. That was just an accident. No one can save you. Little ant, I'll kill you today. You won't have a chance to rise again. Although the martial monarch in a green robe had been injured before, he still charged over. Lin Xian and the others' hearts sank again. Damn it, this is too much. The crimson dragon gritted its teeth. I really want to slap him to death. Lin Xian was also angry. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something. He rose into the air and said, I'm going to go back in time and kill half of his clone. At the same time, I'll take it with me. That way, you won't be in danger. Big Brother Xian, I'll go with you. Murong Qingsheng and the others said. Lin Xian shook his head. It's too dangerous. You should stay here and continue cultivating. Try to become the 9-crowned king as soon as possible. The crimson dragon jumped over and shouted, I'll go with you. This guy is too evil. The toad also said, Yes, that's right. Take me with you. The 2 of them flew over. Lin Xian said, Okay. He led the 2 of them to the river of time. Kid, have you chosen your tomb? The martial monarch in a green robe sneered. Don't even think about escaping. I won't let you and your friends go. Lin Xian came to the river of time. The river of time required him to use the power of time. Lin Xian had used it before, so he felt that he should be able to activate it. Returning to 100,000 years ago, Lin Xian decided to deal with the other half of the frog. At the same time, he said, Green robe, do you want to fuse with your body? Do you want to know where half of your body is? Let me tell you, half of your body was once suppressed by the demonic palace, and I found it. What did you say? The green-robed great emperor was completely stunned. He stared at Lin Xian. Kid, hand over half of my body. Although the green-robed great emperor was a great emperor now, he was still a little weak in the face of a real great emperor. Previously, he had been sent flying by the middle-aged man with a slap. That was because he only had half of his body. If he wanted to fuse with his body, his combat strength would definitely increase exponentially. At that time, who would dare to underestimate him? Who would dare to send him flying? However, he had never been able to find that half of his body. He had even traveled all over the universe, but there were no clues. But now, the little ant in front of him actually knew that he desperately wanted to catch the other party. Lin Xian laughed out loud. How is it? Do you want to know? It's useless. Do you know why you can't find it? Because I used the power of time to send it 50,000 years ago. How could you find it? What? You sent me to the past. He didn't expect that to be the reason. No wonder he couldn't find any clues even after traveling thousands of mountains and rivers. He had returned to the past. He was a modern man. How could he find it? Damn it. I'll kill you and then fuse with my body. The green-robed great emperor rushed over. Lin Xian was currently trapped by the river of time. He used the remaining power of time. He muttered silently in his heart, "Return to 100,000 years ago." Lin Xian's figure disappeared in the river of time. Damn it, you can't escape. The green-robed great emperor also charged in. His huge body turned into human form. Return to 50,000 years ago. It also disappeared. Had it left? The people of the immortal soul realm heaved a sigh of relief. The doomsday had disappeared, and they could continue to live. The people of the divine union were extremely nervous. Bai Susu said, even if we return to the past, Lin Xian won't be a match for him. Yin Ruyu smiled and said, given his intelligence, he definitely wouldn't tell the other party the right time. I think he tricked the other party and sent him away. That way, he wouldn't be a threat to us. So that was the case. Boss Lin really put in a lot of effort. The people of the divine union were extremely grateful. Murong Qingqing's eyes flickered. How much danger will there be in returning to the past this time? Time was the most mysterious power. The slightest carelessness could lead to eternal damnation. Would returning to the past and changing some circumstances trigger some karma? They didn't know all this, but she knew that Lin Xian and the others were in great danger this time. Chapter 5785. The power of time was incomparably mysterious. Everyone wanted to obtain it, but it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Now, the river of time was here, but it was a kind of power that was very difficult to control. The others in the immortal soul realm did not dare to go back to the past. Who knew if it was a blessing or a curse? Dying in the past was even more miserable. Even if they went back and came back alive, would there be an inexplicable blessing or disaster? Therefore, no one dared to go back. Lin Xian was also helpless. First, he was targeted by the green-robed great emperor. Second, if he did not go back, the others would be in danger. Therefore, he had to go back by himself and deceive the green-robed great emperor. He succeeded. The two figures disappeared in the river of time. The last bit of power in the river of time also disappeared. The feeling of taking care of the dragon emperor was truly unbearable. Lin Xian had gone back before and even met the young dragon emperor. Moreover, there was a conflict. Of course, it was only for a short time. This time, when he went back, he felt the same feeling again. Time was really mysterious. After an unknown amount of time, it seemed like a second, but also like thousands of years. Finally, the dizziness disappeared. The surroundings were no longer chaotic. Instead, there was light. There seemed to be a vortex in front. After going out, it should be 100,000 years ago. Before leaving, he saw the green-robed great emperor also rushing into the river of time. He should have also left. In this way, Qingcheng and the others were not in danger. The laws of heaven and earth in the Jinxiu mountain range were very rich. In this mountain range, there was a Jinxiu palace. The palace was very beautifully decorated. This was the place where the Jinxiu fairy lived. However, at this moment, the Jinxiu fairy's situation was very strange. Her whole body fell there. Her eyes were blurred, and she could not use any power. Little beauty, I've been waiting for a long time these past few days. There was a figure in the Jinxiu palace. He was wearing a white robe with a moon pattern on the sleeve, flickering with moonlight. He had his hands behind his back, but his eyes were shining with a fiery light. He walked forward and said, "Fairy, from today onwards you are mine." The Jinxio fairy fell there, her face pale. She used all her strength and shouted, "Go away. Get out of my way. Do you know that? If you do this, you will completely offend Splendid Palace. So what? After the matter is settled, I think your Jinxio Palace will have to agree even if you don't." After all, as a top-notch sect, the Splendid Palace's reputation was more important than anything else. If something were to happen to their fairy, I think they would lose all face. "You're despicable." Fairy Jinxio clenched her teeth. Ding Yuehua, however, burst into laughter. "Despicable? I'm despicable. So what?" What's more, if no one in your Jinxio Palace helped you today, could you have succeeded? You can only blame yourself for being too talented and being targeted by others. Ding Yuehua sneered as he walked forward. Fairy Jinxio even had the heart to die. If she were to fall into his demonic claws, she would suffer a fate worse than death. She wanted to commit suicide rather than be captured by him. Right at this moment, a meteor suddenly appeared in the sky and flew towards Splendid Palace at an extremely fast speed. The meteor appeared extremely quickly and suddenly. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived at the palace. "Who is it?" Ding Yuehua roared angrily, turned around, and threw out a palm strike. The terrible power of the law condensed into a monstrous palm and slapped it out. He thought that it was a powerhouse of the Splendid Palace, so he didn't dare to be careless. Fairy Jinxio also opened her eyes. There was a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Has the elder come to save me? However, when she saw that there was a young man inside the meteor, she was stunned. She didn't know this man, and he looked very young. Is he from the younger generation? Can such a person defeat Ding Yuehua? Ding Yuehua was a terrible genius. Although his means were despicable, his strength was very powerful. When Ding Yuehua saw that it was a strange man, he also sneered. Then, with a terrible moonlight flame on his palm, he threw it out. This moonlight flame was enough to pierce through everything. This palm strike hit the strange man hard. Fairy Jinxio was in despair. There's another innocent person here. However, she soon froze and widened her beautiful eyes. Even Ding Yuehua was stunned. This was because he found that the unique skill he was so proud of didn't cause any harm to the strange man at all. Instead, that unfamiliar man descended at an extremely fast speed, and with a boom, he landed on his body. Ding Yuehua didn't even have time to scream before he was torn apart and turned into a bloody mist. The whole Splendid Palace shook violently. The strange man fell to the ground, almost making the Splendid Palace crack. The surrounding array flickered to resist the impact. Outside, on a distant mountain peak, there was a figure riding a demonic beast. He looked at the Splendid Palace that was shaking, and the corners of his mouth raised into a smile. This Ding Yuehua is really powerful. He actually made the entire palace shake. The corners of his mouth curled up into an evil smile. Obviously, he was also one of the planners of the previous conspiracy. However, he had been behind the scenes. He didn't know that Ding Yuehua had been killed, and the one who caused the shaking was not Ding Yuehua. It was a strange man who fell from the sky. However, the man suddenly appeared in the Splendid Palace, and the people outside didn't know about it. Fairy Jinxio was also stunned. Who is this strange man? How can he kill Ding Yuehua so easily? She was extremely surprised. Lin Xian was also dizzy at this moment. Just now, when he rushed out of the passage of the long river of time, he found that there were palaces and pavilions below. Moreover, someone was attacking him. However, in his current state, he couldn't dodge at all. He could only take the attack head-on. Fortunately, this attack was just an ordinary law, which couldn't break his defense at all. Therefore, when he landed, he killed the other party with the power of his physique. After landing on the ground for a while, he stood up, took a deep breath, and his body crackled. Then, he looked around. Where am I? I wonder if I've returned to 100,000 years ago. He was puzzled. Suddenly, he found a woman lying there weakly next to him. Lin Xian turned his head and looked at her. What a beautiful woman! He was surprised. She had an exquisite face and an exquisite figure. She could indeed be called a fairy. Feeling Lin Xian's gaze, Fairy Jinxiu was also nervous. Is this person a bad guy like Ding Yuehua? She was so scared that her body trembled a little. Lin Xian waved his hand and shot out a law, which shrouded the other party. This law had an extremely strong recovery power, which restored some of Fairy Jinxiu's strength. Fairy Jinxiu was surprised. This person didn't attack me. Is he a good person? She looked at Lin Xian, and her beautiful eyes flickered with a trace of light. After a while, she had the strength to stand up and bowed to him. Thank you for saving me, young master. Chapter 5786. Lin Xian nodded and looked at her with his rinnegan, which made Jinxiu Fairy blush. She felt that it was a soul aura and wanted to explore. In that case, she would be completely seen through, so she blushed. Lin Xian said, "Don't think too much. I'll check your condition. I found that there is a poison in your body. If it is not solved now, there will be endless trouble in the future." Jinxiu Fairy probed with her soul, and her face also turned cold. Damn it! It was this poison that made her powerless. Just now, she almost fell into eternal damnation. Thank you for reminding me. I'll ask the elders to refine some pills to detoxify me. Lin Xian shook his head. Don't bother. He raised his hand, and a stream of sword qi shot into her body. The invincible power destroyed the poison. Try to sense it, Lin Xian said. Jinxiu Fairy sensed it, and her beautiful eyes widened. The poison is gone. Was it destroyed by the sword qi just now? She couldn't block this poison with all her strength before, but now, the young man in front of her solved it with a gentle wave of his hand. This young man's strength is too terrifying, isn't it? Thank you, young master. May I know your name? She had never heard of such a terrifying genius in the Great Xia dynasty. Lin Xian told her his name and title. Jinxiu Fairy was also surprised. It turns out to be Lin Gongzi. Lin Xian asked, "Where's this place? What time? Is the Dragon Emperor still here?" Last time, when Lin Xian came back, he met the Dragon Emperor, Long Xiaotian. So this time, he had to use him as a coordinate to judge the time. Fairy Jinxiu looked at Lin Xian with a puzzled look on her face. Lin Xian didn't even know these basic things. Lin Xian was embarrassed. He said, "Fairy, don't get me wrong. I just came from a mountain and cultivated in seclusion for too long, so I don't remember some things." I see. Jinxiu Fairy nodded. It was normal for some people to cultivate in seclusion for hundreds or thousands of years. Perhaps this was the case for the person in front of him. She said, "Lin Gongzi, this is the Jinxiu Palace, the territory of the Great Xia dynasty. As for the Dragon Emperor you mentioned, I don't know who he is. However, the current emperor was Emperor Xia, the Grand Xia Empire." Lin Xian was incomparably astonished. He had heard of this name before. Back in the true spirit world, the central continent had 4 dynasties. The Grand Xia Empire was one of them. They had also produced immortal emperors before and had supreme weapons. Who would have thought that the other party would have a great emperor 100,000 years ago? Moreover, the Great Xia Empire had been established. After the Great Xia dynasty, it should be the Dragon Emperor's era. The 10,000 Dragon dynasty had just conquered a region. Now, the Dragon Emperor had not yet become the emperor. He asked a few more questions, such as about Long Xiaotian. This time, Jinxiu Fairy said, "Are you talking about the champion of the dragon transformation battle? He is very famous. Rumor has it that he might become a great emperor." So that was how it was. Lin Xian understood. This should be because the dragon transformation battle had just ended, and Long Xiaotian's name had spread throughout the 4 seas. Now, he was still some time away from becoming a great emperor. Lin Xian's mouth raised into a smile. "If I have the chance, I'll find him and beat him up. By the way, have you heard of the half-frog?" Lin Xian came this time to find the half-frog. Once he found him, he would find a way to kill him and make the green-robed great emperor unable to recover. But this time, Jinxiu Fairy shook her head and said, "The universe is too vast. I've never heard of the frog you mentioned." Lin Xian frowned. That shouldn't be. That half-frog is also a half-step emperor. Many people should know about it. Could it be that something happened in the middle? Lin Xian was not sure whether the half-frog was still hidden or suppressed. It seemed that he could only look for it slowly. Anyway, this time, he would not give up until he found the half-frog. The green-robed Great Emperor was really too much of a bully. All of a sudden, Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched. He could sense that quite a few people were hiding and rushing toward the palace. He said, "Someone is coming. I'll leave first. I'll come to you when the time comes." Fairy Jinxiu was also taken aback, and her face turned extremely unsightly. If Lin Xian hadn't appeared, she would have fallen into Ding Yuehua's claws by now. If other people from the Jinxiu Palace came, they would definitely see this scene. Even if she was a genius of the Jinxiu Palace, the Jinxiu Palace would definitely marry her to Ding Yuehua for the sake of their face. In this way, she would be doomed eternally, and Ding Yuehua's conspiracy would succeed. Just as she was thinking, someone rushed over. "Senior Sister Jinxiu, are you okay?" The leader was also a woman. Her name was Luli. She sneered in her heart. "Just wait and see. I'll let everyone see your scandal and drive you out of the Jinxiu Palace. Let's see how you can compete with me then." After she came with her people, she looked at the scene in front of her and was stunned. She found that there was no scandal as she had imagined. Jinxiu stood there with a cold face, but there was no one around. Impossible? Luli was crazy. She had discussed with the people of the Ding family before. Now, Ding Yuehua should have succeeded. But where was Ding Yuehua? Could it be that he had left? She searched frantically. Looking at this scene, Jinxiu still said, "Junior Sister Luli, what are you looking for?" Luli withdrew her soul and said, "It's autumn. Are you the only one here?" Jinxiu snorted. "Of course. Who else do you think is here?" She stared at the other party because when Ding Yuehua was arrogant before, he had said that someone from the Jinxiu Palace was secretly helping him. Now it seemed that this Luli was very suspicious. Moreover, her relationship with the other party was not good. The two of them were competing for cultivation resources. It could be said that they were at odds with each other. If she was unlucky, the one who would benefit the most would be Luli. In addition to the other party's actions, Jinxiu knew that it was the other party's doing. She said coldly, "Do you think there should be other people here?" She could also release a trace of the terrible law. Luli's face changed and she said, "Senior Sister, how is that possible?" Jinxiu walked forward and came in front of Luli. A powerful force pressed down. Luli's face turned pale. She gritted her teeth. "What are you looking for?" However, there was a smile on her face. "We found that there was something strange here before, so we were worried about Senior Sister's safety and came to investigate. Now that we found that Senior Sister was fine, we left. Goodbye." With that, Luli quickly left with her people. However, she was puzzled. Where did Ding Yuehua go? On the mountain peak in the distance, the man riding the demonic beast also smiled. Luli has already left with her people. Next, he could go back and prepare for the marriage proposal. This time, his plan was really perfect. Thinking of this, he turned around and left. Not long after, he saw a figure flying out of the Jinxiu Palace. He turned his head and looked. Who is it? He saw a strange man. At the same time, his pupils shrank, and the demonic beast under his feet also roared. "Why do you have the bloodline of the Ding family on you? Have you killed someone from the Ding family?" He was really shocked. "Stop." With an angry roar, he punched forward. In front of him, Lin Xian stopped and turned his head. A cold light appeared in his eyes. "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.